Welcome, everyone, to the show worth waiting for. Good to have you with us. I'm Dan McDermott, your host in beautiful Bentonville, Virginia, and I am on like 5.5 hours sleep now, I think. I got a little nap. It's our print week, and I went to bed at 5:30 a.m., so I apologize for being late. It was not the fault of our panelists. It was my fault this time, as is often the case. Okay, so let me introduce our wonderful panel, and beginning with Pam Adger. Welcome, Pam. How are you in Menifee, California?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing quite well.
Good. Your burn's healing well?
Yeah, my burn, which has been diagnosed as a second, not a third degree burn.
Good, good.
Because pizza. And I must confess, there may have been some beer involved. Just to be fair, it was not entirely the pizza's fault.
That's okay. Tonight's question is brought to you by vodka.
Oh, where? There you go. I was wondering if you were. I was trying to figure out because you were especially radiant. I was like, well, Pam's looking good, feeling sexy there, and or is there vodka off camera? I wasn't sure which. So I'm glad we clarified that. So, and switching to a more perhaps moderate, at least on camera, and mainstream beverage.
I think he's been drinking all day.
Ellis?
I think
is he still nursing his wounds? Michael, welcome, sir.
I nurse my wounds and I nurse my drinks.
What? Or you have a nurse to nurse your drinks, which is even.
Yes, we don't discuss the nurse.
Right. So what's around what's going on your neckline there? What's there?
Oh, this is my Bluetooth headset.
Interesting.
Earbuds and.
What's
with he was wearing it last week and you totally didn't notice.
See, I'm so last week. Interesting. Okay.
Wait. Dan didn't notice something? Really?
Especially if there was something boring going on, and
Yeah, they're from LG.
He doesn't eat them. That's why he didn't notice.
Right.
If I can't eat it, drink it, or I don't notice
Smoke.
it. No, not smoke. I was going to say something more along that Pam would laugh about.
Yeah, but you can't say that on air.
Right. Okay, so also joining us from Augusta, Georgia is Mr. Michael Ellis. Welcome, Michael. TEDx.
That would be Michael Banks that you're asking.
I mean, Michael Banks. I'm sorry. You guys look so much alike.
Yeah, we're practically brothers.
I'm telling you, I just need to put on some glasses. I mean, mistake.
The height's the same, probably. You're both like 7 feet tall or something ridiculous. Welcome, Michael. How are you, sir? How's everything going in Augusta?
Pretty good. Rain. That's all we've gotten all week.
We've gotten the same issue here. So we've seen you more often than usual. So I guess you're in between classes, right?
I am actually. I actually disappeared for a month here, coming up in a few weeks.
Okay.
So yeah.
Awesome. All right. Also joining us from Newport Beach, California. Cadeas Kalut.
Not North Beach, Newport Beach. I don't know where North Beach is. Pam, where is North Beach, California? Does that even exist?
Are you trolling me, or did I say it wrong?
I could look it up. Newport Beach.
Yeah, I'm Newport Beach, but Dan likes to always say North Beach.
I said it right this time.
This time, yeah. You stumbled, but you got it right. And I'm angry as ever. So.
You're angry? Are you angry with any of us, or?
We'll get to the stories.
Okay. All right. I see you're promoting your new strength.com website.
Feed the anger. Let it flow through you.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to tone a lot of it down. So.
Why I actually look forward to this program, I have no idea. Craig Shipp, welcome, sir. How are you in Frederick County, Maryland? Welcome, sir.
Absolutely, the northern part of the county up here by Camp David. And I thought we were under attack today. Our power went out here for like 45 minutes, which never happens. And turns out the little old lady just ran into a transformer. So it was no big deal.
Just to clarify, you literally live right next to Camp David, the President's
Pretty
Retreat.
close. Yeah, pretty close.
So
Yeah.
if Cadeas and Alan and Pam and I were, slamming some brews and decided, oh, let's go crash Craig's place, and so we like rolled down the main street in Thurmont, what would happen?
You wouldn't get very far. You would not.
Seriously,
not
it's like
get
a whole
far.
town that's a security zone, right? Literally the whole town. Like you're going to
Be
Main Street.
surrounded- You'd be surrounded rapidly by a lot of SUVs and a couple of Thermont police cars and a couple of helicopters
And that's
things
the
like
one
that.
big government program you do like, because you are in the safest possible neighborhood in the country.
Well, until they bomb this whole area, yeah.
Right.
That's
So
why I
there's
bought
that.
this place, was because I could leave and just not worry about it.
Yeah. Because nobody who doesn't belong there is getting in there. Joining us from New York, I think, is Mr. Alan Furstenberg. Welcome, Sir Alan.
Hey, Dan. Speaking of undisclosed locations.
You're literally match the curtains. Your shirt matches the curtains, and the stripes are even going the same way.
Okay, Dan, we'll go with that.
The pleats are not, however.
All right, so yeah, the pleats are different. You'd have to wrinkle the shirt a bit more. All right, so the first thing I just noticed, Craig, can you get ready to do a screen share? I noticed today, I'm not sure how new this is, but any of our viewers, tell us what you're seeing. I don't know if this is a rollout or a change, but nobody else had seen it before. So, but Craig also saw it. I noticed that when you go to what's called a YouTube watch page, right? The normal, just youtube.com/watch whatever video thing. Then the video seems to be
I
like
would do a
2.5
screen share, except for some reason my screen share is not working. Is there a reason why it would not work in this Hangout?
I don't know. Maybe somebody else can do it.
Let me click on something else and try and toggle back and forth and see if that helps.
Are you on a Mac?
Not.
Michael Ellis seems to be seems to have
Looks
it.
like it's working.
Okay.
yeah.
Let's go with Michael. If you can, yeah, just go any YouTube watch. I just noticed it's really big, and this is a complete fail. And I gave Craig 10 minutes notice.
Yeah, I don't know why the screen share is just not working. I've got the thing up on the screen, but I can't get my screen share.
This is a rare Craig fail.
No, I would call it a Google fail,
What thought?
which is
A
not
YouTube
rare.
watch. Just pick any random video and watch it on YouTube, and you'll notice it's much larger. I'm streaming, so I'm afraid to do it on my computer. This was supposed to be a throwaway topic at the top, and it's a fiasco at best.
Well, I'll tell you what I can do. I can show it to you with my freaking camera. How's that for old-fashioned? All right, you ready for this?
Sorry, guys.
All right,
All right.
that's
So
okay.
that's my monitor.
Okay.
You can see, let me get it centered here. You can see how large Audrey is there.
Yeah,
It's
that's just a
almost-
regular, not blown up. That's
It's
the new
almost taking
YouTube
the
watch.
whole monitor. You can see there. And what happened though when I loaded it? Let me see if I can get it to load here. Reload. It started out the normal size and then it gets bigger. Now watch this when it reloads. See it's the normal size. See, and then it gets bigger.
Okay, I don't remember that. So that's either different or I just didn't notice it. Either's possible.
So yeah, so it starts out the normal size and then it gets to this big size.
I wonder if that's related to. It'd be interesting if you could find a video that was 360p and see if it behaved in the same way. It might not, because maybe they're taking into
What if I
account.
just switch? What
your
if I
screen
switch this one to
resolution.
360p?
I don't think that would be the same test. I'm wondering if the original video is older Like if you test, search for original. I know the whale, exploding whale video, real quick, and see if that one blows up.
I've got a ghetto one that's like real low res. Let me.
Yeah,
find
your
it here.
motorhome
Switch
video.
off me for- Yeah, switch off me for a second,
Okay.
and then I'll find that one on the Bluebird.
Okay. So anyway,
this camera's going to be jerking around.
this wasn't a big deal, but I just thought it was interesting. So, if you guys have thoughts, please weigh in the comments. We always show our comments here on our program. And,
Okay, so here we go. I've got a low res one.
all
Let me
right,
get it going here.
quick as you can there. See if that one blows up.
no,
Yep, it
blew
blows
up.
up too.
And I'm going to skip the ad here as soon as I can. Another second here. Okay, so
I'm gonna get.
yeah, no, it stays blown up, and this one is like
That's 240 or 360. I mean, it's really ghetto. Yeah.
That's 480p. I'm sorry, so that's not totally ghetto.
Okay. All right, we're good. Thank you, sir. So anyway, it appears that that's a change. Any comments on that? I guess it's good, as long as your internet's good, right? If your internet sucks and you're used to the old thing, then of course it's opt in or opt out. Everyone's opted in. So that happened. All right. Next is keeps changing. It's hard to,
I have to be very careful when I offer to share my screen.
because of the NSA or porn or
No, but I just went to my YouTube watch page and it says watch it again, and there's something came up that said got butt hair.
oh my god.
Like, it should
Okay.
be Pam videos.
That's our TMI
So,
segment.
Michael, does your camera have an adjustment so you can adjust it down a little bit
Down.
so we don't have quite as much ceiling? There we
Oh.
go. That's a little
Okay.
better.
All right.
Sorry. The camera's
Um,
built into the computer, so yes, it has an adjustment.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So next is I don't know. This is Cadeas. Send lists are now more limited. Cadeas, would you like to lead on this since this is your
Once
pet
you unmute
topic? I
yourself.
think.
So I didn't know that story was next, but I am fortunately ready. Well, basically, every week out notices to everybody saying that the live show is going live now. And so a few of us have circles where we have the list of people that reached out to us and said that they wanted to know when the show was live. They wanted to be notified. So basically, now Google has changed that ability, and I've been playing with it to see what the number is, and I can't quite figure it out. Before, the circles needed to be smaller than 100 people, and now I don't know how small it is because I've taken it down to 50, and it's still not allowing me to notify all the people. So generally, you get this pop-up. Let me share the screen real quick. Generally, you get this pop-up message basically telling you that you can't send to that many people. And so it won't let me actually go on and share. So a lot of people haven't been notified that the show has actually started, thanks to this new feature that they implemented somewhere between Monday and Friday. So yeah, that kind of sucks.
Well, you know, Cadeas, the last thing we want to do is enable people to find quality content like this so that they can watch it on a Friday evening. We want to keep this show as secret as possible.
Yeah,
You
but
wouldn't wanna
Craig, my
overload.
objection is, we also don't want people to spam the shit out of, random people who they might have stuck in a circle.
Now
I mean,
here's
we might remember back when they gave the ability for pages to be able to do this. Ronnie Bincer was here saying, "Hey, wait a minute, let's not rush to judgment on this. Let's see if people actually abuse it." And this might be an indication that people were abusing it.
They're definitely abusing it.
Michael Banks, have you heard anything along these lines of these changes? Any thoughts?
I look forward to change, but I mean, nothing specific.
I have two thoughts on this. I have two circles. When I post the show, there's an auto post that YouTube does, which just has the player, and then I post like, here's the Google Plus Week with the topics, right? I have I have, over the 3 years I've been doing this, formulated the thought that it's best to have a 100% opt-in for notifications. So what I do is, if I share it public and I share it to the circle of people who are invited to the show, because they're either going to be on it and so they're interested in it, or occasionally on it. Like Michael might go 2 months without being on it, and then he shows up. Jeff Zaya, same thing. Bruce, and these other guys, and girls. But and then I share it. I have a Google Plus Week notify circle, which every single person in it has said, I want a notification. And
But that does not work now, Dan.
It works now. But mine's smaller than that. Mine's smaller than yours.
Oh, okay.
Because they're getting a hard notification. I mean, a red box, not an email. I don't click that.
Right.
And I think two things. I think that it's right now I'm looking at my screen on Google Plus, and I've got 99 plus. You can't see it, but I've got 99 plus notifications, and so I get a lot of invited to all kinds of things. So I understand the sentiment behind that. At the same time, it should be very easy if you do find a show that you like. You should be able to. There should be a thing there. Let me know when the show goes live. And it's difficult. I've seen things that I have forgotten about, and I can't. There's no way to get
Dan.
Dan?
Oh, go ahead, Alan.
Go ahead, Alan.
Dan, you're aware that for people that actually use Hangouts on Air and scheduled Hangouts on Air, which you don't, that feature is built in already, right? You know that, right?
Okay. Well,
It's the
YouTube
fact that
Live
you're doing
exists
something
as well.
completely oddball.
No, I'm doing what Leo does and what
Wait a minute now. I'm shocked.
Dan, you're missing what we're saying. It no longer works unless you're going to manually type every single last person. It no longer works. That you can no longer use a circle unless have 4 people in it.
We'll find out if that's a glitch, or because I didn't have a problem.
It's not a glitch. You can tell that this was actually engineered this way intentionally, and it's probably to curb. Here's the thing. It's probably to curb the spam that everybody's talking about. And that's reasonable. That's understandable. So how about you do one little thing that we need you to do, Google, and fix events. If people can subscribe to the freaking event that they want to watch, then we won't need to be manually sending out notifications. We shouldn't be doing this SHIT this way anyway.
There's another thing that Google could do, is they could make these shows discoverable. When people do a search on Google, imagine that they would do a search on Google, and then shows like this would come up if it's relevant to what they're searching for.
What makes you think that they don't?
Because they don't. I've never seen any of them come up.
Yeah.
So if I search, for example, if I search, I'll give you an example. If I search hooping, some of Audrey's movies come up. Her regular hooping movies come up in the search results. Her show, which is Mondays at 9 o'clock, like clockwork, and been so for a year, never comes up.
Well, let's see. I just did a search for Google Plus Week. First search result is our page. Second search result is Dan McDermott. Third search result is Dan McDermott's YouTube page. Fourth search result is Dan McDermott's other YouTube page.
And so none of the results are this show.
Fifth search result is this show.
Really? All right, well then that's unusual.
And the fact that if Dan
but the other thing, but that's not even relevant though. Alan, what you need to do the search on is something like Google Plus updates, or Google Plus new features, or other generic Google Plus related searches, and see if his show is suggested, like on the right side or something. See if they make.
Google Plus new features. Google Plus new features. This show shows up in the 5th position again.
Well, that's pretty. You guys are doing good. Then you're doing a lot better than most shows.
With the date stamp of 19 minutes ago.
All right, go ahead, Cadeas.
So Florian said, couldn't you just post the show on the show page? Then people could just circle that and get the circle notification, right? That's what I'm calling for. Subscribe to them. They don't get any real notifications because of the way it's all architected all put together. It's a disaster how it's all put together. And if we just say, okay, people subscribe to the show page, we're going to notify you. This feature is the same exact feature that you would need to manually notify somebody on one of the show pages. So that also sucks and it doesn't work.
Well, no, except for the fact that if the notification on a show page is the exact inverse of that. So it would be that people who subscribe to notifications, all the show page should do is post, preferably automatically, when the show is starting. And if you wanted to receive a notification for that, you should receive a notification for it. If all you wanted to do was see it show up in your stream, you should just see it show up in your stream.
But they do have a subscribe feature, so I'm not understanding, maybe
That's true,
maybe our
but that
viewers can subscribe to the page, and that way every time we post something, they would get a notification.
But we don't post to the page.
But we could! I could post this to the page right now.
We neglect the page, and it's embarrassing because I get notifications all the time, daily, that someone is subscribed or +1 or something to the page or subscribed to the channel. The channel, they get it.
So it's not neglected. I pay attention to the page and I comment back to people who comment on the page. I get when I get the notifications, I do it right away.
The bottom line is you should not have to subscribe. You should not have to go to some freaking Google forum and read a bunch of messages, post, and wait 4 days to get a response back to figure out how to find out when a freaking show that you want to watch is on.
Well, and also, just because you subscribe doesn't mean that you're going to get any kind of a notification.
And that's what I was going to say, right?
Jump through hoops to subscribe with,
Even if you subscribe on the YouTube side, you're not going to get a notification that a show is going live. You may get a...
But if I post a share of Dan's post that we are now live to the Google Plus Week page, and someone subscribes to the Google Plus Week page on Google Plus, they will get a notification. Will they be a little late for the show starting? Yes.
Are you sure they'll get a notification? Are you sure they'll get a notification?
What? I know. I subscribe to 3 people on Google Plus, and I have yet to fail to get notified when someone posts.
Agreed.
If you turn notifications on, you should get it.
Right.
If you just adjust the volume, you won't necessarily get it. But if you turn notifications on, that should be a red box notification.
It's not as quick as I'd like, but it does work every time that I'm aware of.
So then what we'll do, Dan, is at the beginning of every show, you need to tell people how to subscribe to the page from now on. And
what I'm going to do, I got the solution. I'm going to do the $300,000 option each week, and we'll just do a little donate button. Maybe I'll sell.
What time?
I'm going to take a page out of Leo's playbook. I'm gonna buy some bricks behind me, sell some bricks, and then we can get $300,000 a week to do the Google thing.
And what time do you think that show will start?
That was a dig just then.
Oh, Craig, that's a funny one.
Yeah, nobody's ever picked on me for that. Okay, so Cadeas is pissed, and it's kind of neat to see him actually talking.
I'm not yet.
And why are you freezing? Aren't you like high tech and rich? Why is your internet freezing?
They're probably throttling him.
No, they don't throttle me. They just try to shut me off. So either I'm here or I'm not. But I'm freezing.
You're like, rah 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 rah.
We get bandwidth issues from you every so often.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be sure to make a phone call for that.
Are there other people in California using the internet now? Maybe something's amiss there.
That's a Pam question.
Yeah. So
Pam knows more about California than I do.
All right. So
and actually, we got a couple comments here. This one.
All right, hit.
Comes in and says that he never gets a notification. So this is a serious problem, Google, that needs to be fixed. And this person, and then John also says he always has to keep refreshing the page over and over again until it finally starts, because he doesn't know when it starts and he doesn't get a notification. And then Brad said that he likes to add it to the calendar, also coming in from YouTube. So
I
these
think
are some serious problems that need to be fixed.
I think what we got to do. I think what we have to do, and by the way, that's Brad from Tech Webcast Down Under, the most popular tech podcast in Asia. But here, by the way, is Australia part of Asia?
No, it's a continent of its own.
but it's that whole area. So I will say all of the East. Okay,
Just
let's
because
say
an
that.
Asian plane may or may not have
The
landed in
biggest
Perth.
Tech Webcast is the biggest podcast in the East. We'll say it that way, okay? That covers all of it. Okay, so here's the deal. What they need to do, what Google needs to do, is at what time does the show start again, Dan? 8:30?
8:30 p.m.
8:30
Eastern
time.
5:30 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah, then what they have to do is on all of their properties, including Google Search, YouTube, every property, they just need to put up the Google Plus Week show right there, including all their ads that they serve and everything. Just Google Plus Week goes up so that no matter where anybody goes, they're going to see the show and they can watch the show. Would you make it convenient, make it easy for the people to find it? Because they all want to watch the show. We've determined that already. It's just a question of making it convenient for them. So
They
we
could
just
make
put it up.
Google Doodle.
Say again, Michael?
They could make it the Google Doodle
That's right, absolutely.
on
Right
Friday.
there.
Every week it could be Google Plus Week. Could be the logo could be built in.
Make it the doodle.
Just
That's
for
right.
like an hour before, not half an hour before, half an hour into the start. All right, so
We all agree.
yeah, John, if you could let me know if you have opted into the notification thing, or if you've simply subscribed to the page, which we have embarrassingly neglected at times, more often than not. I'm not sure what I don't get a notification means. If that's like you're expecting to get one from the page or from my opt-in list. And obviously,
Again, the page is not neglected. We pay attention. I pay attention to the page, and I comment back when people make posts, and I get all the notifications, and they blow my time. So generally, we shouldn't say the page is neglected. We should say Dan neglects the page. So you're always talking to me when you do get replies back.
okay. I was in there the other day, and it was like 67 unread notifications. So either
You're not
Yeah,
really
the
Really
news ones I
popular
don't
or
read.
Yeah.
The news ones I don't read. I look for actual people who've said something.
oh, okay. So we're only neglecting some of you, just to clarify. All right, but we love all of you equally. Like I'm totally blowing this. All right, so next up is Google Plus My Business.
I've been waiting for this one.
All right,
I'm
Michael
ready-
Banks,
so
what's
ready
this
to hear
about?
reaction. I'm just so ready to hear reactions for this.
All right.
So tell us what it's about, Michael Banks.
So
It's Google My Business. Sorry, not Google Plus My Business.
exactly, which is already what I feel is going to be the biggest misconception of all time. So this is not Google Plus Pages or Google Plus Local. Just throw those out, because I mean they were merged and upgraded to their service. So do not take the standpoint of this is a Google Plus add-on. Look at it as a service of itself, because I mean it is not only about Google Plus. It's about maps and search and reviews and a bunch of other things that they have rolled into Google My Business. As you notice, it does not say Google Plus My Business. It's Google My Business. Google Plus is just the social layer within this system.
You're getting pretty defensive here, Michael. Why don't you tell us
No,
what
I mean,
it's
I'm just going off of past things, because I know. I mean, Alan bashes the pages and local. I mean,
Oh, sure, and I'll bash this too, but why don't you explain it all first?
Greg does the local thing too that Google's been missing the butt.
Okay,
And I mean,
so
this is
Michael,
the
it
one-
sounds to me like what this, at first glance, Google is used as a verb. Google something, right? You could say that. I'm gonna Google this. I'm gonna Google for a pizza place in this town I'm visiting. So it sounds to me like, is this supposed to be a one-stop shop so that you are in all the various Google services, like Maps and Search and Plus Pages and Local, from one single dashboard? Is that kind of what this is about? And if so, Craig, we should make a note of this.
Yes, it is. You have access to your local listing. You can do reviews. You can look at analytics. There's that Google Plus, aspect of it as well. I mean, there's a bunch of different tools you can use. AdWords, YouTube. I mean, it's just a whole array, but it's all based on business and local and reviews.
So what's your beef?
I'm ready to hear beef. That's what I enjoy it, because I mean,
My only beef, and I'll be honest, it's a pretty minor one, is that this really adds nothing new. The
Correct, but it unifies.
it unifies it, and that's a good aspect of it. It still leaves in place the problems that people have had claiming some of their local pages. It doesn't really fix any of the problems that we've seen local business owners have. It looks like it addresses stores that have more than one location, but it's not entirely clear that it does that.
But it organizes all of the frustrating Google experiences into one single place, Alan, so you can
be frustrated
your
in
thoughts.
one place.
Yeah, instead of
frustration?
I was being
No, I mean,
slightly
overall, I
sarcastic.
think this is a good thing. It doesn't solve any of the problems that people have really talked about, though.
Like what?
Like the fact that it's sometimes impossible to manage a local page. It doesn't change that.
Vague. That's vague, though.
Marketing a single place where you can go, and I'm guessing
hang on, Dan,
is a smart thing, but that doesn't address what Alan's talking about, the frustrations with the individual products and the UI there. And
You
the
have not given me a
functionality.
specific thing, though. That's what I'm asking.
All right, Michael, go look at the Google Plus help pages, which I know you do. How many times a day do you see someone saying something along the lines of, we had a former employee who used to run this page and nobody can get access to it anymore? Or, we have 2 local pages and we can't figure out what the hell to do with them? Or, I've been sent my PIN and I keep entering it and it doesn't do anything.
This addresses the local pages part. The part where the
I'll tell you the problem here, Michael, in a nutshell. I'm on the page right now, Google My Business. If you do Google My Business, there's a page here about it and talks about it. And I'm scrolling down the page, and I wish I could screen share. It just goes on and on and on. It's confusing. The average business owner is not going to be able to figure this out. And the average business owner is going to have just as many problems with this as they've always had. And that is, they don't know how to use this stuff. And it's confusing, and the UIs are confusing. Dan and I went in, and we were going to run some ads on some videos we had, some campaigns to promote them and so forth. It is a cluster, you know what. I mean,
Craig,
we're sitting
Craig,
there
let
for
me ask you a question.
hours trying to figure all this stuff out.
Craig,
It's a mess.
are you looking at the actual Google My Business page, or are you looking at the splash advertisement?
I'm looking at, it says sign in or get on Google, and it says get your business on Google for free, get on
Okay,
Google.
so did you click on the button that says get on Google?
No.
Because that's the important button.
Yeah,
The
but
rest
see,
is
if I'm
advertising.
John Q, business owner, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to go through and I'm looking at this stuff, and it's kind of cool. It says be found by customers across Google,
Right,
and
that's
it's got all this
advertising.
stuff. And by the time you scroll down to that, you've already gotten confused, right? And you're trying to figure this stuff out.
how are they
I'm
going to
telling you,
simplify this? How are they going
I'm
to
telling you, a lot of people are going to have trouble figuring this stuff out.
explain to me how to simplify this even more than it already is? I don't know.
Michael, I'll tell you how to simplify it. You put big arrow at that button that says get on Google. Because that's the important button. The other 15 pages
They
are
have
all
it twice.
advertising that don't tell you anything.
They have it twice on the page.
I only
Yeah,
found
but
it when
why
I
do
got
they need all the other stuff? If all they want you to do is click on that button, all they need is that button. Get rid of all the other stuff. It should just say get your business on Google or whatever. and just click on it.
Right across the top.
It does. It says get your business on Google for free right there.
Yeah, and then it goes on to show you all of these graphics.
Sometimes Craig makes sense, and I have to say
It's
that's right. If they want you to push the frickin' button, then they need to put the frickin' button right there in the middle. Say push here.
It is.
Guys, it's right there across the top.
It says well, wait a minute now. It says get on Google. It's a blue button. It says get on Google. But then immediately beneath it, they've got these really cool graphics with the magnifying glass thing, and they have give customers the right info, and they have all these arrows that you can click on. And it is very confusing. And the average business owner
Oh
out
my
there
gosh,
wants
look at
to
this.
get
Look at
pizza.
this. Craig, look at this. Look at this. Okay.
I think Cadeas is trying to address Craig.
Look, Craig. Look.
Look at Michael Banks' screen right there at the top. You have a
Top
sign
right,
in.
there's one get on Google. Here it says get your business on Google, which is what you said they should put. And right under that is this big blue button that
No,
says
it
get
needs
on
to be
Google.
bigger. Sorry, needs to
It can be bigger. I'm sorry, the button vanishes.
and maybe flashing.
Pam,
It should have a obviously it should have a naked woman. There should be a naked woman in Flash pointing at the button.
If they want them to click on that button, if
And
they
some-
want them to click on that button, get rid of all the other stuff. You don't need the other stuff.
Craig, this isn't 1990. You don't build websites like that anymore.
Yeah,
Why
we
would you want it to be flashy?
Cadeas, we do. I'm just kidding, Craig.
Cadeas,
We should.
Cadeas, go click on Google.com and tell me what you see. If you go to Google.com, it's obvious as hell what you're doing and what you're there for. That page, it's not obvious at all that is a button, that you're supposed to click on it, and that the rest of it is totally unimportant if you want to do something.
Especially
Okay,
if the
this is
point
the
of the
thing, guys.
page
My
is
thing-
designed to help noobs or non-technical people who don't know already how to do all these things. Because there's nothing, as Michael or whoever said, there's nothing new here. This is
But
just
Dan,
aggregating all the different
Now I will say
disparate
that
things into
if
one
I had
place.
a complaint, my complaint would be that everybody's getting a different page, because actually my page looks a little different from Michael Banks, but it says contact sales. So you have the option to call somebody if you need help. But that's not the page that's showing up on Michael Banks' screen.
Are you logged in with an apps account?
Oh, okay, that's what it is. Okay.
Aha!
I'll bet you.
Once again, Google is vindicated.
I'll bet you if we had 5 average business owners go to this page, they would be totally confused what to do.
Now, if you have 5 that have never seen Google Plus, I guarantee they understand.
No, Michael, the problem with this page is it's trying to do two things. It's trying to advertise the service, and it's trying to get you to sign up for the service.
Correct.
And the advertising overwhelms the blue button. I didn't even notice the blue button there until I read every single page and got to the frequently asked questions page and got to the question that said, how do I sign up? And saw the answer, click on that blue button.
There should be like the whatever the blue button thing is should be like there, and there should be like a single video. It should be real simplistic.
Well, you
Steve
know
Jobs
what?
would have done this
No, no,
right.
no, no,
Let's
no,
give
no,
kudos
no,
where
no,
kudos are due.
no.
Steve Jobs would have done
Back
this right. It would have been a more simplistic approach.
No,
Back up a
Steve Jobs-
second.
No, Apple would have screwed this up, and they've demonstrated they've screwed it up in the past.
That's all they
Okay,
ever do.
So what they should have done is when you click on that blue button, okay, first of all, it says, welcome to my business. It's got a map, and I have to agree to the terms of services, right? So I'm on a freaking map, right? What they should have done was they should have just had a place where you put your business name in, business name, whatever. They should have you just start filling it out. They should just have you start filling it out right there on the first page.
Craig, that is what it does.
No, it takes you to a map, and then you got to enter your business name and address.
You just said enter your business name. You just said that. That's what you do it.
They should have done it on the previous page. They shouldn't even have me have a button.
You don't even know what you're
They should just
searching
have it
for.
right there.
You could be searching for anything. You don't know that it's just for your business. It says right here,
What are
finding
you
your
talking
business.
about? The previous
Craig,
page.
I'm sorry, you went off the rails on this one.
The previous page is get your business on Google for free. So right there, I should be able to put in the name of my business, and it should check to see if my business is
What will
already
it do,
there.
though? You
And
don't
if
know
it's
what
not
it'll
already
do.
there. It should say this is what you do.
So correct. You will already know what'll happen when you put in your business. It might delete your business from Google. But if there's no freaking pretext to let you know what's about to happen, don't you think you should know what you're about to enter your business name into?
Get your business on Google for free. Right beneath that, they could have a blank where I just simply put in my business name, and then it should tell me if I already have current listings, and then it should show those listings and give me an opportunity to update them or whatever. It should just start the action right there. There's no need for me to go to another page. Why would I
Craig,
need
you
to go
looked
to
at the
another
Google
page?
homepage recently?
Google.com?
Yeah.
It could be just like that. It could just be a blank.
It is just like that.
What do you mean it isn't? They
It
don't
is.
have
If you actually start typing something into the Google.com homepage, it goes to another page.
If anyone has any bullets, if you could bring them to me, so I could use. I just need one.
I can't believe we're debating that Google has terrible UI. I mean,
No, I think we're agreeing that Google has terrible UI. You
Okay.
seemed, and you were doing well on the last one. You went off the rails when you're going here. Sorry.
All right.
I was actually agreeing with you before.
I should have just left it at that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to update here. John Rochette and John Jensen, and I see Kevin Bryan there now. All three guys I adore, and Brad and Florian, all the regulars. Thank you so much for watching. John Jensen and John Rochette, both of you. John Rochette, you were in the Android Notify. You had not specifically neither of you were in the circle that gets the Google Plus Week notification.
So let's do this, Dan.
So now
let's do
you
this.
are.
Let's do
I've
this.
added you both in. So now you will get notifications. If you ever want to be out of that circle, let me know, because that's a totally opt-in thing. But based on your comments here, I've determined that you would like a notification. So you will. You
let's
should
do
both
this,
get a
Dan.
red box, not an email. You should get a red box notification. Go ahead, Cadeas.
So instead of us making a list of special people who want to be notified, why don't we just go ahead and start using the page as a central notification place, and then just have everybody go there? Because eventually your circles are going to get full to the point where you can no longer send out the messages to the people who want to be notified as the list grows.
Yeah, I don't want to have to do email lists.
You know,
and Mailchimp. To sign up for our Mailchimp.
Wait. We've been, because I have to go pee. We've been doing this show for 3 years.
Could you turn your camera on?
September. And we haven't filled up those notification boxes yet, so it might be a while. Okay, just so
Well,
you
but
know.
that's the thing. The number has went down now. So now, like on the Google Plus section with all the circles, we have them coming up close to 100 now. But now the number is lower because I'm at 80 and it's saying I can't send them. So that's what I'm saying is, like, instead of that, why don't we just point people there, and then that way they'll know.
I think all this addresses the fact that Google Plus pretty much discriminates against YouTube Live folks, because I'm kind of an edge case. I don't know. There are probably fewer than a dozen people doing what I do. The Leo Laporte approach, where you're using a video mixer to mix in a Hangout. There's me, Huffington Post, Leo, and a few others using Wirecast or OBS or whatever. But it's a handful, so I can't expect like a team. And John is saying he was in 3 years ago. That was a list I created based on who I thought would be interested, and then I got cold feet, and I was like, I don't want to be spamming people, so I started saying in the post, and in tonight's post, it said, if you want a notification, let me know, and I've been doing that for like a year and a half. So from that point over, I started a new circle that was purely opt-in, so that nobody got a notification unless they specifically requested it, or if it's like Michael Allen or Cadeas, they're in the show, then obviously, they'd probably want a notification or wouldn't mind one. So I went totally opt-in, because mainly I was bombarded with so many things. Like I said, I've got over 100 notifications here pending, and it was my birthday the other day. So, and thank you. But on Facebook, I've got like one day it said 100, and I went through and I basically you spend your entire birthday thanking people for wishing you a happy birthday instead of celebrating your birthday. It's crazy. That's the social media impact here.
Now, who can anyone tell me who does what Google My Business is trying to do best? Because just for example,
area
I went
guides.
to Yelp, and this
Funny
is
you
what
should
I
ask.
see.
Yeah,
This
area
is what I
guides.
see.
You should ask.
Yeah.
Funny you
First
should
thing,
ask.
it doesn't look as cluttered or a cluster as this compared
So
to
funny you should ask. There's a company called Area Guides that will actually have somebody come out to your business.
They have a really
Take photos.
sexy.
I'm talking about websites.
Wait, I'm gonna wait
Take,
for you guys
take
to come out to my
photos, shoot a
business?
video, get your business card, get in pertinent information, your slogan, how long you've been in business, so on and so forth, and then go and put all that information on the web for you, and get a bunch of business in the door so that you don't have to worry about it.
Because
We
a
take care
pizza
of all that
shop-
for you. It's called
a-
Area Guides, areaguides.com. We come right to your business and take care of it for you.
A
How's
pizza
that?
shop owner, a plumber, a realtor, what have you, they want to focus on pizza, plumbing, and selling houses. They don't want to have to deal with all this crap. And so that's, what we do. Sadly, there are a lot of companies out there that are taking advantage of business owners who realize that they have a problem, that their website sucks or looks like crap on a phone, or there are obsolete or inaccurate listings out there from their previous location or what have you, or whatever. and they don't know what to do, and so they get taken advantage of. It's exactly, but you know, that's why we started this new thing, to help folks so they can concentrate on their business. Go ahead, Michael.
I mean, really, UI wise, I would choose the left side. That's the first page on both of those options. And
I mean, you know, what's better, Auschwitz or you know, Sing Sing? I mean, of those two options there, I'm not sure which one I'd prefer. You know, to have my arm cut off or my leg. Let me think.
But I mean, you all said it was a cluster and cluttered, and you don't understand.
But if you are Michael's Pizza Place or Michael's Plumbing Shop, and you just want to fix your internet thing because you moved your business, you changed your phone number, what have you, and you're listed in Yelp as it's closed when you're not closed, you just relocated, or your business website is on some legacy service and it looks like crap on a phone, you don't know what to do, and everyone's quoting you $5,000 to fix your stupid website, which should be like a $50 WordPress quickie from Elance, but you don't know how to do that. Looking at either of these options, you're just going to go back to making pizza, and your website's going to continue to suck, and that's not the solution. That's the problem. That's the real world problem faced by non-techie business people, which is the majority of the people, and we have to remember that we are into this just like if we were a sports show and we're sports fanatics, we would know intricate things that Joe Sixpack doesn't know. And these sites neither of these sites address either of those concerns.
Here's Joe. When he wants to find something, where is he going to search from?
Google.
Most times it's going to be Google.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would behoove the businesses to take an extra step to actually learn Google. That way you can edit Google and manage your business.
I'm Michael. I'm adding my business right now to this system, and I put my address in and all that, and it's going to send me the card, right? And now I'm on this second page where I've got to add a photo and all this stuff. I can tell you right now, most people, their eyes would be glazing over right now. There's no freaking way they'd be able to figure this out.
And Michael, I think you went off the rails when you said people need to learn Google to do this.
They're not going to do it. People aren't going to do it.
Only if they're interested in managing their Google listing. They don't have to.
None of them are going to be interested in doing that.
Which brings us to our next topic and our phrase of the week, which is, "You're running off the rails, people." That's our phrase of the week, courtesy of the man who matches his curtains, except for the drapes part. I mean, like the whatever.
The pleats.
The pleats. Even the stripes are the same direction. It's uncanny. It's wild.
Focus, Dan.
I was definitely focusing on that one. All right, so next up is introducing insights for Google Plus pages. I'm hoping someone can explain this better than I can. They have analytics. Now there's insights. Or there are insights, I guess. Not theirs, insights. But there are insights for your Google Plus pages, for people who use Google Plus pages, which would be Cadeus and not me, apparently. Thoughts on this from page users? Pagers. Could we call is that a good adverb or adjective, whatever? Pagers.
Cadeus, why don't you tell us about? Actually, this was actually something I think Pam said she had poked at a little bit, but she's still in the loo. Cadeus, you want to talk about this a bit?
Yeah, so Insights, I've been playing with it since they merged it in that My Business app this week, and so I've used it a lot more than I would use it only because it's easy access, a lot easier than going to a computer, so you can see what's going on. And I like it because it actually takes you all the way down to each individual post, how many people looked at the post, even if they didn't click anything, and then whether if they shared it or commented, you get all that information. And it'll even analyze the data. It gives you charts and everything. It's pretty much Google Analytics, but for this, and now it's also on mobile too, so definitely like it.
Does it analyze non-public posts?
You know, every post that I've done on this page is public. I've never done a non-public post.
Michael,
here's one. Yes, it still does analyze non-public posts.
Okay, so that's very interesting. That's something that Clout and none of the others can do.
Right. Yep, it'll give you charts and everything and the actions that was taken, whether it was just a view and you can drill down as far as the first 72 hours.
Yeah, it does that, and I know
7 days,
Facebook
30
does.
days, 90.
Yeah, that and Facebook does because it's only internal. I mean, it's your post, so I mean, you still have access to it to get the insights about it.
Yeah, Michael, but you talk about it being your post as if Google cared about that. And there's ample demonstration that they don't.
It's not them caring about it. It's the person that their business wants to know. Google may not care, but I mean,
My point is that in the past, Google's APIs, Google's public APIs, have not given you access to those things. Ripples, for example, only work on public posts. They don't show you Ripple information about private posts.
So
This is the first time they actually have indicated that they'll work on private posts.
would this be some kind of benefit to the person on getting their business on Google?
Yes, but so would have supporting this for Ripples, and so would an API, and so would a number of other things that Google has very staunchly opposed in the past.
You know, everything has its benefits and negatives. They weigh, I guess they weigh them at a certain thing, at a certain cost. And I guess they say that cost is worth.
But you got to keep in mind that that on a private page or on a page, a private post may be to just like, for example, even when you use the default ones, they can set up customers, team members, all those type of things. And so if you have, let's say, you were running contests and you have the 12 winners or the 30 winners from here, you would want to know how often that they're in tune with that. So I could see why.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I think this is great. I'm more surprised that they're finally doing it after we have been asking for such features for 2.5 years. That's my only point, is that they're finally getting to some of these things. And I'm glad to see it, and I hope they continue this trend of giving us stuff that we've been asking for 2.5 years.
And probably the best way to describe this is imagine YouTube analytics being brought over here. I mean, they break it down by country, by gender, age. It's really drills down, just like the YouTube analytics does.
I mean, almost like, you know, if it's too confusing, maybe the customer may not even make it to this point. Therefore, they might feel it's irrelevant to have insights. I mean, you know, because I mean, usually a person wouldn't get this far to understand insights. I mean, it's a little cluster. I mean, you know, who knows what views and clicks and what all these graphs mean? I mean, Joe Schmo won't know what a graph is. I mean, he won't even know how to look at the graph. I mean, you know, who needs these things? I mean,
I will say Dan always makes fun of Google Analytics, and I will say that this really simplifies it and makes it easy to read, at least on a device. I don't know necessarily on the computer, but on a device, this is really easy to read. And anybody can look at this. I can give this to my grandmother, and she can tell me exactly what's happening.
it has to pass the Craig test. I'm sorry. Everything else does not matter. Craig test is the only one that matters.
So I think on this one we actually agree. This is an awesome addition to the tool chest. Next subject, Dan.
Next up is, are we going to do this troll article? There are actually a couple good points, and they talk about NIM wars. So it's
Yes, we put it in there.
Okay, so this article here is it's from ZDNet, Ziff Davis Net, I guess. Are you still allowed to use the original names? Like KFC, they don't actually fry chicken; they're KFC. Okay, so this is entitled "Thanks for Nothing, Jerkface," and there's a picture of Sergey Brin, who's always welcome on this program, and we promise not to call him Jerkface. We like him actually. So this is an elaboration and analysis of the article that referred the TechCrunch article, I guess, where Sergey said it was a mistake for him to be involved in social at Google, and they twisted that to mean that Google Plus was a mistake, when Sergey was saying it was a mistake in his mind at that moment while he was giving a speech in an anecdotal statement that it was a mistake for him to be involved in social. So we don't know what the hidden meaning is there, because there were some key aspects to Google Plus that were Sergey's creations, and he said in this article, it references a time when Sergey, a lot of it was Sergey's idea, and he had input on it. So I'm wondering if like the whole circles concept was Sergey's, and if that's what they're wondering about. We know that Hangouts were are credited with. They weren't created by Sergey because they were an internal tool that Chi has set on our program that they use to talk to their Stockholm office. But it was Sergey's thing that let's get this incorporated as a major part of this. Or they wanted correct me here, Alan. I think he wanted a text chat, and Vic said, well, why don't we use this other thing? Or Vic. Okay, Sergey and Vic they were going to hang out with Chi, and they said, we want some kind of IM thing. And then Chi said, well, we're using this video hangout. We call a hangout with our Stockholm office. So it's like an always on ability to do a face-to-face with these guys who we can't bring here because of the I-9 visa program.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
To cut Dan's incredibly long story short.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the stories that we have heard have indicated that when she presented this to what was going to become the Google Plus team, it was Sergey who was incredibly excited about it and who essentially said, make it so. What this article talks about specifically is it kind of starts with the starting point of Sergey saying that he shouldn't have been in charge of Google Plus, and then rips into some serious problems that the author feels Google Plus has. Most of them focused around the security, the privacy issues, and the NIM issue.
And one thing I want to point out on the NIM thing.
Let me
go ahead,
let me
Alan.
finish. And concludes by essentially saying that somebody should have been watching over the team to make sure that they were actually implementing privacy and security and doing this right, and she lays it at the feet of Sergey for not being that person, to have beaten Vic up with a clue by 4.
One thing, I'm looking here at this, and this is one angle to this, but it could be about anything. It could be your political persuasion or whatever. But this is about, I guess, an Erica Sorensen here, who I think is an LGBT person, and apparently she sent a hangout to somebody, and here's the exchange here. Yep, KitKat outed me. If you and the recipient have Android and you message through Hangouts, it sends a Google chat even if you only have their phone number. And she says, really pissed off right now, effing Google. I was not ready to tell any of my coworkers yet, so her job's at stake there. And the real telling thing here, the reason I highlight this issue, because it could be about anything. It could be about your nationality, your race, your religion, whatever. This phrase here, and this article is fairly negative to Google, so it's kind of a trolling article and clickbait in one sense. But this paragraph I could totally empathize with. Google's response was that her outing was user error, quote unquote. Google blamed her, the user, for not understanding the new confusing integration. I think that is to me the most prescient point in this whole piece. So whoever wants to weigh in.
If you have secrets to keep, then it's your job to go out and make sure that you understand the settings, you know what you're doing before you go out on social media with some kind of alternate account or some kind of alternate identity or what have you. It is not the platform's fault that this person didn't understand that you can switch off SMS. It was not that difficult for me to do that, and I don't even know what SMS means.
Okay, question, Pam. Let's say that I am, as a newspaper publisher or a business owner of any kind, let's say I don't want anybody to know that I'm a closet Republican or Democrat or Tea Party or whatever.
And make an account
Let's
called
say that
Dan
I'm a
Republican.
closet lesbian at the same time, and I'm secretly I have a foot fetish or whatever.
Yeah, you know where
Should
you're
I
going
have
at.
like 5 different phones?
No. No,
Because I
but
don't-
maybe you
because
might
I'm not
maybe you might
techie.
want to have a couple of different accounts, or maybe you want to turn off SMS for Google,
Wait,
or you know.
All right,
did
so
I miss something? How did we get from the throwing Google Plus under the bus to the privacy thing? Is that connected? Is that all in the same article?
Yes.
If you go and look at the embedded tweets in the middle of the article, and I recommend you do because it's kind of interesting, just look at the 2 embedded tweets from an Erica Sorensen and look at the one sentence underneath that, and you'll get that.
Pam,
It's talking about the
here's-
Nimwar thing.
Can I answer Pam's question, please?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Thank you. The issue, Pam, and I, for the most part, I agree with you. The issue and the concern on this front kind of boils down to, yes, it behooves you, it's your responsibility to make sure you understand what all of the settings are. I can pretty much agree with that. Part of the problem, though, is Google doesn't always make it easy for you to figure that out.
Or
And sometimes
possible.
they automatically default you into an option.
Facebook
And-
is even worse at that.
And I'm not saying Facebook is any better. I'm not saying anybody is any better. What I'm saying, however, is even if you have the expectation that you're going to be using account A to carry on these things, and account B to carry on these other things, and Google suddenly merges your contacts between account A and account B without telling you, without making it clear which contact it's going to use for any particular thing, and suddenly you now your 2 identities have been merged without you saying so. That's where the confusion comes in,
I
and
think-
that's where I'm concerned about.
I think Pam. I think
Well,
I'm
wait.
surprised
But if
at
you
Pam's
have
initial
2
response to this. Pam, I think it's. I think that they shouldn't be so fast and loose with. You should know better, and you should read the terms of service, because let's face it, nobody freaking reads every
That's
terms of
not-
service from every
but
app.
that is not the provider's responsibility to make sure you do it.
I think it should be.
Seriously, people,
It should
no,
be.
it should not be. No.
I think just like when
They put
what's
the
that
terms of
senator
service
from
out-
Massachusetts, the new one? What's her name? The
you know, there
This
was
isn't a
no-
terms of
she's-
service issue. Whoa, whoa, whoa!
I
It's
think
not.
it. I think if.
No, it's
what if?
not.
Let's carry it to another level. Let's say you're a closet Christian in Iran, or vice versa,
It-
and
Can we get the scenarios? That's not
Yeah.
the problem.
Okay.
the problem
doesn't
is, should
matter.
you be expected to
Let me
read your
just-
17-page terms of service
the
for every
real- the
freaking app you
real-
install? Is that a reasonable expectation?
No, the real problem is if they merged 2 separate accounts. Who's to say that I don't share my phone with my daughter or my husband or somebody else, and they have an account that's completely separate from mine? They have no right to merge the 2 accounts, and that's a different problem. That isn't what happened here. This person
Okay.
did not
Can I
create
just-
2 separate email addresses.
Can I just interject here? You all are all wrong once again. Okay, the 1,000-pound gorilla
Says the
1,000-pound
guund with
gorilla
blue-
is in the
literally
room,
with blue
and
balls.
you all aren't paying any attention to it as usual.
What's the gorilla?
The big issue here with what happened is Brin threw Google Plus under the freaking bus, and then pulled forward, backed up, pulled forward again, backed up again on Google Plus. I mean, this is huge.
No, this was an offhand remark.
Either these guys are total bumbling idiots, or they're total bumbling idiots. There's no other explanation.
I don't think that Sergey Brin, whose
I
company,
I don't even know where you're
Absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know how
First
to
of all, the
I
guy
mean,
is
so-
admitting that he shouldn't have been involved in social in the first place. Well, if that's the case, then why is he even talking about it on this thing? He should have never even talked about it, because obviously he's not equipped to be social and to talk about social, and so he made that matters worse by, at an event where he knew he was going to be misquoted and so on and so forth, by throwing Google Plus under the bus once again. This is ridiculous. Don't they have a PR firm? Doesn't anybody vet any of this stuff before they throw it out there?
well, this does explain why it's so rare for Larry and Sergey to make a public appearance. Because,
But not Eric, who's been known to put his foot in his mouth even more often.
But he's a little bit
he
smoother
could
than
have
the
said-
kids.
He could have
And-
said, I made a mistake being involved with it in the first place. I shouldn't have been involved with it. But it's a great thing. We're standing behind it. We've got a great team.
Craig,
You know,
Greg,
but
have
he
you
didn't
looked at the
say
full
that part. He didn't
Greg,
say
have
that
you looked
part.
at the full quote?
What?
Have you looked at the full quote?
I've read the whole article here.
No. Stop. This article isn't the original article. This article took
I read
Sergey's
the original article
from
too.
another article, which took Sergey's quote from yet another article. This is third-hand quotation.
None
Well,
of which
all right, just
did
put
any
it
of them
this
link
way.
to the original quote.
I'm just putting it this way. They sure as hell didn't do a very good job of getting it out there. If he actually did stand behind Google Plus and did double down on Google Plus, they sure as hell didn't do a very good job of getting that out there.
No, they did a great job of getting it out there, and everyone ignored it because, that's not what's interesting. This is interesting. Taking
Yeah,
them
but
out
was
of
it
context is
backpedaling?
interesting.
But was it backpedaling when they did that? Tell me exactly what they said to stand behind Google Plus. What
If
did
I
they-
remember correctly, the quote was something along the lines of, I'm not a very social person, so having me design this system was not necessarily a good idea.
All right.
Okay?
Go on.
He then went on to talk, his focus was about him, not about the system.
Okay, but my point is, Alan,
Fine,
said
no,
what you just said he said. If he said what you just said he said, and then left it at that, that is freaking throwing Google Plus under the freaking bus. All right?
No, it's not. It's diving
That's
under
what
the
he
bus
said.
yourself.
If he said what you just said he said,
That is, hey there, I'm a really crappy manager.
all right, what he should have said, no, what he should have said if he did say what you said he said,
Oh my
he should have
God.
followed that up by saying, we've got a great team in place. They know what they're doing. They're on top of things. This is fantastic. Or something like that. He didn't say anything like that as far as I can tell. I haven't seen any indication whatsoever that he said anything like that.
I think this is an offhand comment, an anecdotal thing that should have, that wasn't like a speech, a major pronouncement, analysis that he had worked for weeks on. It was an offhand comment that TechCrunch blew up to get clicks, and then everyone else followed up
But
on
Dan, when
to
you've got
pile on and
something-
say Google Plus is
I
a failure.
found
You've got
further
something
information
that
about what he
is
said.
failing. When you've got
Right,
something that is failing and you just fired the guy that's in charge, the last thing you do is make any kind of comment at all that makes it sound like you're distancing yourself
It may
from
be
it.
it's failing by
You know, that
whose
is ridiculous.
definition?
Hey Craig, Florence says he wants to know how this became Sergey's fault because it's the media that changes it. And this is something that's right up your alley. You hate the media, and they're the ones that changed it.
Absolutely. That's why would you give
Greg,
them more red
Greg, I have quotes.
why would you give them more red meat? They're in a feeding frenzy already, and you're going to throw some more red meat in there?
Because he's not a very social
Ridiculous.
person. Okay, you ready for some quotes?
Go ahead.
Ready? I am quoting now The Verge. They had a live blog at the conference where he spoke at. Okay. Question. What about Google Plus? Kara wants to know. Quote, I'm probably the worst person to speak about social. I'm just not a very social person, he says. Bryn says he posts pictures of his kids to family. I don't connect with a lot of people. I'm kind of a weirdo. It was probably a mistake for me to be working on anything tangentially related to social to begin with. Bryn suggests there was a real need for Google Plus when it launched in the marketplace.
When it launched in the marketplace. Well, what about now?
That wasn't the conversation, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm going to say this.
Craig,
would be
the
like
conversation
me saying,
was about
this
him,
would be
not
like me
Google
saying. This would be like me saying Area Guides was a great idea back in 1998.
And you
then
know,
leaving
Craig,
it at
I've
that.
heard you say that. I've heard you say that.
All right, but and leave it at that, right?
But
I would go on to say we're even better now.
This
right?
was a
Like, there's
lengthy.
something.
This was a lengthy conversation, and there was an offhand brief remark that wasn't thought out by an admittedly awkward speaker who frankly has they should just lock him in a fancy office in the back and feed him and let him do whatever the hell he does, and not allow him out in public. And even Vic, I mean, Larry kicked him off of Twitter when he said something wrong. He said something about Microsoft and Nokia or whatever, and he tweeted I forget what it was. It's his last tweet on Vic and Dotra, at Vic and Dotra. two buzzards don't make an eagle or whatever it was. And then Larry told him, you're not allowed to use Twitter anymore. So that was his last tweet. So these guys are geeks, and they're arguably are not good at what they do behind the scenes. But there's a reason why you don't see most CEOs and most very high level people doing interviews. And it's a shame, because they should be allowed to go there and say what they really think and interact with people without having to deal with these kind of stories from TechCrunch and ZDNet, which could potentially lower their stock price and cause all kinds of discussions like this. It's a shame, because that's the reason they have to live like freaking cloistered nuns, because everyone blows this shit out of proportion. Go ahead, Pam.
They're very nice cloisters, though.
Very nice cloisters.
I was just going to say, Michael Dell, when Google Plus was in beta, and Michael Dell was on here a lot, and he seemed to be pretty okay having conversations, and Mark Cuban as well. So I think it's personality driven. I don't think it's just CEOs in general.
Is Dell still in business?
Yes.
Okay. I used to have Dell workstations many years ago. When I was a Windows user, I had Dell Precision workstations, they called them. They were really, really good machines.
Okay, next up is Google Fit is rumored to launch at I/O. Alan, you will be at I/O, and I know you're a fitness guru and have your own Spandex YouTube channel.
I thought this was
So-
going to be a specific Alan Furstenberg product.
Yeah.
Aren't you introing it? I mean, I don't want to unleash the beast
That's a Google
on the
Fit
program
every
too
week
early.
of it.
I can neither confirm nor deny
That you will be in no way responsible.
acronym for Furstenberg is technology.
Absolutely.
Oh. No, I think it's because you have a Google Fit every week on this show.
I think it's
That was an
Furstenberg.
excellent one. That was excellent.
Furstenberg is tight abs, but the A is silent. And the A could be interpreted in multiple ways. I think that's what this is. So tell us about Google Fit, Alan, and if you think it's going to be a failure like Samsung's latest smartwatch related to fitness attempt, or do you think it's going to be awesome or something in between? Or
Right now,
is it going to be bigger than the
article
Q?
from-
We can say that, right? We can say it's going to be bigger than the Nexus Q.
Can I actually say something?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. This is a story from Forbes, and although they listed it as an exclusive, there isn't really too much information there. It's lots and lots of speculation, which, just about anybody who's talking about Android these days is saying. So there's nothing radically new here. Especially not if you were watching Apple's keynote address earlier this month and learned about their health kit, which they rolled out. So there's some speculation that this is very, very similar to HealthKit. There's probably going to be one big difference, and it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the difference. Apple's HealthKit is mostly focused around storing your data on your computer. I think it's a safe guess that Google's equivalent is going to be storing your data in the cloud.
Of course.
And I think that's going to make people very, very nervous. Any thoughts on that one, Michael? Banks?
I get the nervousness, but I mean, similar to Google Now, where it does basically that it will provide more benefit to the nervousness. Google Now is awesome. I think it will work similar or some tangent off of that.
That's certainly possible, but I'm also, one of the issues though is HealthKit lets you give that data to somebody else.
And
I'm not sure.
Google Now lets you give that data to advertisers.
No, not well. You really think people are going to be comfortable giving their health information to advertisers?
They're comfortable giving their location. What more than their health?
You're
They're
doing
not
it.
that comfortable giving their location.
You're
And-
doing it now. If you Google, WebMD hemorrhoids or a burn, in my case, I'll probably see ads for burn treatment.
If
You
you
see
Yeah.
that, I think that's
if
kind
you
of.
use Google products, you don't have any privacy anymore. You might as well just forget about privacy. just move on.
If you
I
do
mean,
anything online, I mean, it's
Yeah, but
Amazon,
Apple's
it's
doing it.
everybody, but it results in relevant searches. Like I just saw this thing on the Daily Mail about Facebook is going to start introducing ads instead of completely irrelevant. They're going to start introducing relevant ads,
Yeah,
and
but-
they said it's
but
more
Dan-
intrusive. But,
but
I don't
Dan-
know. Go ahead.
If you're going to talk Facebook, though, you've got two issues with that one. The first is they're giving people a way to opt out. The second is people are really, really pissed off that they're
Should they
doing
be giving you a way to opt out, or should they be giving you a way to opt in? And of course, we know the
People are
answer to that.
always pissed off at what Facebook does, but they get over it, and they just need to get over any concept of any privacy whatsoever anymore. And I don't care if you're using Apple or Google or what you're using. If you're using Google, it's of course worse. But
If you're using the internet,
you have basically
But
given.
no, hang on a second.
If
Hang
you're
on a second.
embracing these modern technologies, you have waived your privacy. It's as simple as that.
No. Hang on a second. And this is where Apple, I can't believe I'm defending Apple over Google on this one. And Craig isn't. This is where Apple has an advantage over Google. Apple can legitimately say, we'll take this data and put it into a secure, thumb secure place on your iPhone or your tablet. And only your thumbprint will be able to release it to somebody else. And when it's released to somebody else, it will not go through iCloud. So it will be kept local, it will be kept personal. You have total control over it.
But
Please,
Alan,
please
that
no thumbprint.
doesn't mean you have privacy. It really doesn't, because you're still at some point the information is going to get out there.
So,
I mean,
Craig, so you're saying that Apple's security is bunk.
What I'm saying is that, okay, I'll give you an analogy here. Let's say I have a secure building where you've got to push a code to get in the front door. Then you go up some stairs and you got to get through a deadbolt and a fire door and so on and so forth. That's somewhat secure, but it's still, if somebody wants to get in, they're going to get in at some point in time. It's just more secure. Yes, the Apple approach, you have a better shot at privacy, but they're even starting their own ad network, or they had one or whatever. So they're not above doing things to use your information, I don't think, at some
But
extent.
here's
Craig,
the
just to
issue.
clarify,
It's a
Craig,
question of degree. It's a question of degree.
But
my
Craig,
point
isn't your
is-
neighborhood literally patrolled by the Secret Service?
Yes. I'm not a good example. I'm very secure. But having said that, I've totally given up on the concept of any kind of privacy online. I think it's an illusion. I think if people think that they're private and they're going to use all these services
For free.
I think they're delusional.
Well, but okay, two things here. Dan, we're not necessarily talking for free when we're talking about HealthKit. And two, we're not necessarily talking about online when we're talking about this. The Apple angle keeps it strictly on your phone, which does not need to be online at all. And which Apple is saying will not be online in the sense that Google, you think about Google things as online.
I think
and
it's
finally-
human judgment, Alan. If I'm on Google.com and I do a search, I'm thinking, I'd love a new camcorder, and then all of a sudden I'm on Huffington Post and I see an ad for camcorders. I think that's a reasonable thing. If I'm doing a search for something potentially embarrassing or a health issue, and then or like this example we used in the previous clickbait article, I think that's a different thing. I think it's a human should make a judgment on what is reasonable and what's not.
And I agree with you, and I think that's where people start getting concerned about what step this is going to take, because we're not talking about I do a search. I think people are pretty used to the fact that their search goes someplace. What we're talking about is the fact that when you get back from your 30-minute run, okay, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, any one of a dozen other bits of information about you that your phone, your Fit device, the watch that you're wearing has collected about you. What happens to that information? Michael's waving his device. Okay?
What's yours, Michael?
What
Let's see it.
happens with that information when you're done with it? Okay, and the question comes: is it get saved to your device and your device only,
or does it go someplace else that's out of your control?
Wait,
And the answer is, can I just finish, Pam? And then I'll turn it over to you, I promise. And then I'll actually shut up for a little bit. People have been, people might be
Now's the
okay with the
time.
fact that their mail is out there. People might be okay with the fact that their searches are out there. I think people are going to be very, very, very anxious about the fact that their health records are out there. And we know this because Google Health closed up shop in 2012.
Go ahead, Pam.
Because people were worried about it.
Pam, and then I want to make a point about these things.
There's a slight difference between my health records being out there and my Fitbit information being out there. I don't really give a crap whether people know that my blood pressure is 153/91 because I already go to the doctor for high blood pressure, and well, I already know what my blood pressure is because I take it twice a day. But I don't care if people find out that I weigh 230 pounds. I don't care about that. But I might care about going to the doctor for, I don't know, a pimple on my ass.
If they raise your insurance rates because they find out about all those things,
No,
then you might care
but
about
I
it.
already have health insurance, and I already am seen for whatever ails me. It's nothing that the Fitbit is going to tell anybody is going to raise any insurance or cause my job to be a problem. But
Well, what if they didn't know about all those things?
well, I guess there are people out there that don't have health insurance and don't go to the doctor, but the Fitbit isn't going to
Well,
tell you.
no. You could have health insurance, and you could have some kind of a situation going on, and you haven't necessarily told anybody because for whatever reason, maybe you've got a high deductible.
But I'm not
or
going to
whatever.
come home. I'm not going to come home and download my health records app with all this, it asks for all these permissions and stuff, and type my health records in for Google to sync to.
Here's
It's going to be stuff like
Yeah, but if you're
it's going
using
to
one of
be
these
stuff like
devices, Pam, what Alan is saying, if you're using one of these devices and it's all going up in the cloud, then all your
but
information
it's
might be
only
up there.
it's only how many steps I took today and my
Yeah.
blood pressure and some other things. Maybe my pulse rate, maybe not even my blood pressure. Does your Fitbit do your blood
Pam?
pressure, Cadeus?
Pam?
It's
I
not.
think you're correct
I
about
have
the
a
data that
demo
we got today. I think
What?
if you look at where some of these devices are going and can going, you start to get a little bit worried. So what, for example, and I don't know if there are any device that does this today, but we know Google is working on a device that detects what your blood sugar levels are.
Mm-hmm. But that's for people who actually have diabetes, an already documented case with their health insurance company.
Well,
So
but-
how would that be different than
What about if your insurance company doesn't know about it?
your insurance company knows everything? That when you
No,
first
my
go
insurance
in,
company doesn't know
bullshit,
anything. I've
bullshit.
never been to them. They
Oh,
don't know anything.
No. Every time if you use health insurance,
I have never
You
used
have
my
to-
health insurance. I
Well,
paid
that's
for it,
very-
but I've never used it.
That doesn't make you normal, though. That doesn't
Yeah,
make you anybody else.
I have a
If you-
catastrophic policy, so if something catastrophic happens, I'm covered. But I've never gone to any kind of health practitioner or
not
anything.
normal. That's not normal, Craig. The second you use your health insurance card at the doctor's office, that information goes back and forth.
You don't think there are a lot of healthy people out there that have not gone to the doctor and haven't had problems?
Craig, you're not normal. You eat nothing but salads and
If you
oatmeal
are
and you
healthy
jog
and
for
you're
12 hours a
never-
day.
There are
If
other-
you're healthy and you've never gone to the doctor, you don't have a need for a blood sugar app. You're not going to be
but
sticking
I'll
your
go.
finger
If
4
Apple
times a
comes
day
out-
and putting the
If
data.
Apple comes out with a really cool watch that'll measure my workouts and keep track of all kinds of stuff and all that, I will get it. I'll use it.
Let me say something though.
But
There
that's not going to give anyone information that you would want to have.
But if it was a
Yeah,
Google
it
one,
would.
it would. If it was a Google one, it would.
Pam,
There-
here's the thing.
Alan,
What-
then let me talk. Alan,
Go
then let me talk.
Oh, Alan, right, Pam. The point though is, if these APIs are open enough, then there's no reason why they couldn't have blood sugar detection that happens every 5 minutes without sticking your finger. And there's no reason, if it was cheap enough, why they wouldn't just put it into a Fitbit so that everyone could do it. And now here's another piece of information for you.
Pam, then let me talk.
But again, you have to create the situation where that information is going to be kept. It's not like I'm going to suddenly opt in. I mean, it's Google's not going to come to my house and shackle me with this device and and force me to do it.
Walmart, you might see it at Walmart for $49 and just say, "Hey, this is cool," and buy it and start using it. A lot of people might do that.
Okay,
right.
so all right.
If they put their
I'm gonna.
information out there, and they're that stupid that they're not going to.
Most people are that stupid.
Oh my
trust
God.
me.
Okay, hang on. Let me make a couple points here. There are some amazing possibilities for devices like this. These fitness-related wearables. One is that we've seen where Google can kind of predict how the flu is going this year based on where people are searching in Google for various specific symptoms, that sort of thing. There's strength in numbers by gathering all these data points. That's a good thing. The other thing is I had a managing editor, still works for me, he's a writer now, but he had a heart attack and he was sitting at his computer and he collapsed and his head hit the keyboard, and it was like a serious massive heart attack, the kind that you have like a 1% chance of living. Almost everyone who has this dies. But his girlfriend was in the other room, heard his head, hit the thing, and went in there immediately and did CPR, called 911. The daughter called 911, and he was saved. Now he has a pacemaker. If he had this, I wonder how many lives would be saved, because they could have an app that would alert 911 that you've just dropped dead, and they can revive you. Because if trained medical personnel don't show up within like 90 seconds, you're dead. He was dead then, but he was revived, and he's alive now, cranky as ever. So there are serious advantages to having this stuff in the cloud, to be able to potentially say, Pam, we're monitoring your cholesterol or your blood pressure, whatever. You should, here's an alert that a lot of people with your exact numbers are having this issue. Or congratulations, you're less likely to have this issue because you've improved on these things. There are so many advantages to having a connected wearable that would be in tune with some metrics from your body like that. So it's not all bad, clearly. And I just think that they need to realize that this is not searching for a camera and getting a B&H ad. This is a seriously opt-in thing, and you need to really make sure people know what they're getting into, because some people have a sensitive medical condition or what have you, and so on. So those are my thoughts there. Anything else on this? All right, next up is
Hang on, Dan. We have this comment from Florian. His question, is local really safer? Anything with an internet connection is vulnerable, and I would guess security on servers is better than on the average guy's home computer. And he makes a very good point on that front, except for one little thing. It's easier for an outside agency to get legal access to the data if it's on a server than if it's on your phone. And that's the concern that a lot of people have.
And also, could there be a cottage industry where people would be hacking in?
Let's ignore the hacking in issue.
No, but hacking in so that businesses know who to hire and not hire if they're going to be on a company health plan, because they're more of a risk, or health insurance companies themselves
but Dan,
getting this data.
Dan, if I want to do that, I can make an equal argument that you can hack into Google servers or you can hack into the person's iPhone. I can, if you're going to go that route, Florian has a good point.
The bottom line is big data has this information, and or they will have this information one way or the other. So the bottom line is you might as well just give up. Just give them the information, and like you said, Dan, use it as a tool for your well-being, and use these things, and just hope that that it's not going to jack up your insurance rates when people find out that you're eat up with all kinds of diseases and stuff.
And if you're going to look at embarrassing porn, buy a magazine. Don't do it online or someone's going to find out. All right, next up is, I think, Alan, this was yours, I hope to God, because I don't have a clue.
They're going to have you buying the magazine on the camera in the store, and as you walk
did
out
they
the
even
store,
make
they're
porn
gonna have the
magazines
camera.
anymore? I don't even know if they have those anymore. Do they have those?
I'm sure they do, and I'm sure that they'll have a camera of you buying them and walking out of the store with it in a brown bag.
That's even worse than like something you could deny. That like you can't say
Absolutely.
somebody
Absolutely.
hacked into my Wi-Fi and looked at this website and said they got you on video with your box of Kleenex and your Playboy. All right, next up, SSL added and removed here. Google mocks NSA and crypto code Easter egg. This could be a snoozer of a topic. Was this anything?
I don't know, Dan. We covered this on Monday. Did you listen to me when I talked about it on Monday?
If he had, he wouldn't remember with his ADD. He can watch the same movie 16 times, and it's all new each time.
I don't know if Craig, if we actually did a Google Plus week from scratch and they just snuck in like last week's topics, if I would even know.
No.
Until
Yeah.
about an hour in, I would be like, you know what?
Dan lives Groundhog Day.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
have a conversation with Dan, he's going to tell you the same stories over and over again. And just don't even bother to tell him I've already heard that story, because he isn't going to remember. He's still going to tell it again anyhow.
It's
But
but I'll
So-
tell it better each time. So
Yeah, it does.
anyway,
it's better each time.
one week we could come. The panelists could all come as a best of Google Plus Week show, and Dan could be live, and Dan would never know because the rest of us would just be repeating things we've done before.
That's right. Absolutely.
oh my God. Okay, so
Remember that show for April, Michael.
my birthday present is to be trolled by my best friends. All right, so what happens when or SSL added and removed here? Google mocks NSA and crypto Easter egg. That's not what I would call a clickbait link title there. What's this about,
so
Alan?
the basics on this one, as we briefly discussed on Monday, is that in the NSA revelations, there is a slide that kind of illustrates one of the security issues that existed in Google. And that was that although all of your connections to Google are encrypted using SSL, all of the behind-the-scenes stuff, everything inside Google, was not encrypted. This is what I like to refer to as a jelly donut. So the
Why?
encrypted and decrypted. This is a technical term, a jelly donut.
Which you could explain to our technical audience.
Sure, it's there's a solid outside, but inside it's the creamy filling that gets all over the place.
Thank you, Sergey. Now please continue.
Zoom
Apologies for
in
the
on Pam. Click on Pam. Show Pam right now.
Oh my God.
Wait, I missed what Pam did. What did she
Pam
do?
has totally lost it.
She is muted and out of control. But she hasn't peed for like half an hour, so it could just be that, right? So anyway, Alan, or Sergey or whatever. Oh, here we go. It's going to be a good show. She'll really be yelling at Craig in about an hour. All right, go ahead, Alan. Sorry.
So Google has done two things to address this. The first is that they've encrypted their entire internal network. So it's no longer there's this vulnerable point where if they could get past that point, they get past the encryption. Now you're encrypted to Google's server, and then all of Google's insides are encrypted as well. And second is what this application has done, which basically lets you create an encrypted mail that stays encrypted in a form that Google cannot read until it reaches its destination. So even if you're using Google's webmail, this is a plugin for Chrome that lets you encrypt it before it leaves your machine. And if the other person on the other end is using it as well, it will remain encrypted in the exact same form until it reaches their machine. It's using algorithms and software that have stood the test of time. They're at least 20 years old. So there is nothing really new here, except that we haven't seen this done on the web before.
This is kind of new when you're talking about web-based mail.
So that's point-to-point, or that's end-to-end encryption in that case.
End-to-end email encryption.
That's pretty nice. So both parties have to acknowledge and agree that they want to do encryption, right?
Yes, but this system helps set that up.
So it's Chrome? Chrome is the only way to do it?
Chrome is the only way to do it because it requires an extension to Chrome, although it's using a standard protocol that's, like I said, been around for 20 years. So if you are emailing with somebody who is using PGP or GPG, they'll just get this encrypted email and can handle it.
Can you put this in context? How does this compare in any way you want to make relevant with like what an Edward Snowden type would do with a news reporter? Is this an advance, or is this a lower end alternative, or what?
To give a little bit of context, back when this software first came out, it was, and this was, we're talking the late 80s, early 90s. When this protocol first came out, it was being talked about how Tibetans were using this to communicate with each other and avoid the Chinese government from being able to read their email. It's the same sort of, and again, over time, we'd seen more and more groups that have been persecuted using this technology to communicate with others. And for a while, it was restricted technology because the U.S. government considered it ammunition. That's how good it was. That's how secure it was. And it's the same technology, but with a stronger key strength now. I see Michael nodding his head. Any thoughts on this one, Michael?
Well, I'm unfortunately I don't know that I understand enough about it, but I'm intrigued by it. I didn't know the piece you said earlier about the insides of Google not being encrypted, while I was thinking I was merrily safe and moving along with email encrypted. But I'm learning that there's a whole lot of gaps in the system that I'm not aware of. And as Pam said, I'm responsible for knowing, so I guess I'm just fucked.
Well, go ahead, Michael. Thanks.
I mean, I was just making a, overall general, overview. I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm glad Google's finally doing something like this. I wish they made it easier to do it, but I mean, ever since we started on the subject, I've already downloaded, the Git clone. I already cloned it, so I'm about to compile it and set up the environment and all that other crap. But I mean, it's definitely something I use because I use it in other applications now, not this specifically, but other software. And I mean, it's very beneficial in other ways, if not, digitally signing a document and sending it from one spot to another, letting this is really you and you really created this document. Or I mean, different things like identity. I mean, I think this will be good in identity, and maybe something Google may be rolling into another product way further down the line that has to do with security, like fingerprints and other things like that.
No, exactly. I think this is Google showing that they've got a real dedication to privacy and to personal and to personal privacy.
So they can roll it into your health, Google Health, right?
Right.
Well, and here's the thing. Google has talked about how they've got HIPAA-compliant servers that are available as part of the Google Cloud Platform. They've talked about how all of their internal communications now encrypted. There are still a lot of things that we don't know how secure they are, but Google's clearly now scrambling to react to the fact that that the NSA has put them in this position. And this is yet another tool that they're rolling out to help reassure people. And I'll be honest, one of the reasons why I knew a lot of friends. Well, I was in the security community for a while, and we all used PGP and GPG for a while, and we all gave it up because it was a pain in the ass. And it is. It was difficult to use and work with. This sounds like it's making it easier, and it still might be a pain in the ass, but it's easier than it used to be. And I think if Google is honestly working on it, and it sounds like they are, it's going to get easier and easier, yet still maintain the security. And that's what I think we're all hopeful for.
Awesome. And thank you for confusing Michael Ellis and me for about the first 3 minutes of your initial explanation, because I was like, what the is he talking about? Okay, so, but I think I got it now.
Okay. Michael, clearer for you as well?
Yeah, I'm getting clearer. I'm probably not all the way there yet, but I'm getting clearer. It'll be okay. By the time I figure it out, the criminals will have moved on to found a new way to break the system. So my view is that nobody can fix this, so that people with ill intent cannot do what they want to do.
Well, here's the problem, Michael, really, is that the federal government argued for a long time that the criminals are going to use this system, that they will use end-to-end encrypted email to talk amongst themselves and prevent and deny law enforcement a critical tool that they used to have.
Yes, but the problem with that is that now people would rather trust the criminal element than they would trust the government.
Oh, I'd go with The Sopranos any day. Yeah.
And the government has earned that right.
I gotta tell you, it's I have mixed emotions on the. I don't want to get at a big NSA thing, but I come from a background, that sort of thing, and an interesting byproduct of the Snowden revelations is that there will be more products introduced along these lines, and there will be more public demand for products along these lines.
I mean,
people will be more cautious, and they won't just, accept.
I'm very interesting to the criminal element in the country. I don't have enough money to be interesting. I don't control enough resources to be interesting. But I don't trust my government not to spy on me. They've demonstrated that they'll spy on anyone. They'll certainly spy on anyone who votes against the people in power.
You don't even have an appendix. What good
exactly.
are you?
What have I got?
You don't even have all your organs. What the hell?
I'm missing significant organs.
Yeah, Tony Soprano's not busting you down your door anytime soon. All right, next up is this is a interesting article, and I don't know if Alan or whoever put this in. What happens when you request customer service on a Saturday from the biggest company in the world? Initially, I thought it was going to be a negative article.
Who's the biggest company in the world?
Well,
Google. Well, they were saying Google.
Yeah, they were saying Google. But
Okay,
I'll read this. At first, I thought, oh God, this could be another hit piece here. So she orders diapers from Google Shopping, right, which is sort of a beta product. They're trying to be.
I love it, by the way.
Well, tell us your experience, because it's not available where I live. So she gets some. She orders a pack of like size 6 diapers or whatever, and instead she gets 6 packs of size 1 diapers or something along those lines. So then
No, she ordered yeah, you're right.
Yeah, she got one box, and not one box of size 6 diapers, but 6 boxes of size 1 diapers. Uh-oh. How does one return something to Google? How do you even start? It's awesome that you can order so many things with one click, but not so much when you have to return it. That poses a problem. So she went on the site. She saw an email address, shoppingexpress@google.com. It was a Saturday. Even if they replied, they probably wouldn't do it till Monday. She sent an email. And about 2 minutes later, she got an email back, automated, saying that's impressive that it was an automated reply that was relevant to her question. Automated telling me to simply print out a shipping label from the link they were giving me and box up the wrong packages and take them to UPS. And she says, I'm assuming it's a female, maybe I'm a misogynist here, but because she's ordering diapers, I'm guessing it's a female. Which, if I lived in the middle of Montana, would have been easy, because the diapers would have been shipped to me by UPS to begin with, but this was New York City, where they were dropped off by messenger, not in boxes. And
that's true.
So for kicks, she sent a reply back explaining her predicament, and then she went and called her building manager asking if he had any extra boxes. Within 5 minutes, I got a personal email from Stuart at Google apologizing for the mistake, apologizing for the automated message, and informing me that they had already dispatched a messenger with the right diapers who would also pick up the diapers waiting to be returned. and she says I was flabbergasted. I think that's a neat story. The whole link here is great.
My favorite line. I have to say my favorite line. Ready? It was like being emailed by God. Google emailed me personally and took care of my problem. Dear Peter, we're handling your issue, and also now you have the ability to levitate your cat. Love, God. I love that. I love that.
This
she
threw
was just
me
so
though.
excited, It's like.
Did this throw
it
you
was
as
like-
well? You thought this was not going to be a happy ending, and it turned out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this, or Michael? You said you've used it.
You know, with Google, every new product that they release when it's in beta, they have amazing customer service, but as it progresses, things change, and it's not so great anymore.
They lose
So.
With every
Yeah.
new Google product, they have amazing customer service. Is this a new
Yeah.
paradigm of which I'm not?
Yeah, but maybe not. I mean, you remember how hands-on the Google Plus was, and it slowly backed away as the product's gotten older. Same with Wallet. Wallet was very hands-on, and now I'm starting to say that I hate Wallet. Like it's something that happens with every one of their products.
And
So
you can't pay for Google Shopping with Google Wallet.
don't
Are you kidding me? You
No.
can't. Are you joking? Are you serious?
You
No,
can't.
I'm not joking. I'm
No,
serious.
seriously.
So you've used Google Shopping. How does it compare to Amazon or whatever, Michael?
My experience is magnificent. I wrote a couple posts on it if you see them, but I go online. You can't order produce or meat or dairy. Only dry goods, as I describe it. But right now, you go on and you shop, and it shows you the store that they're going to get it from and the price, and it's all different stores. I mean, it's not 100 different stores, but it's maybe in the New York area, it's maybe, I don't know, I'm going to say 10 different stores. Maybe that's approximate. So you can get from Target, from Costco if you're a member. You can order from Costco in the same order with your order from Target and your order from the hardware store and your order
Really?
from the little grocery store that they're connected with. It must not be a little grocery store, but it's not one that's in my neighborhood. So I see it and I click and I buy every canned good because I wasn't able to carry anything over 10 pounds. I couldn't buy laundry soap and I couldn't buy canned goods. And so I ordered all my pasta and canned goods and laundry soap, and now I'm buying as much as I can through them.
How do you have like 0% body fat and you eat freaking pasta?
I don't eat pasta very often, and believe me, if you got up close, you'd see I don't have 0% body fat. Wow.
Okay, so basically you're saying that this is sort of the convenience of Amazon combined with the ability to aggregate like store brands or exclusive deals from various major retailers,
I
even
don't
though it's
compare it
only
so
like a
much
limited geographical area that can participate at this point.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I'm not sure if I would compare it to Amazon, or I'm thinking it's much more aimed at Peapod because it includes groceries, which Amazon really doesn't.
You might want to explain what Peapod is, since I'm not sure everyone has it.
Oh, thank you. So Peapod is a service that lets you buy groceries, really, truly groceries. Everything you can buy at your grocery store, Peapod lets you order online and have delivered to you. It's only available in a sizable number of larger cities in the U.S.
And it's actually tied to actual supermarkets. So the way the way they work is you're actually placing your order with a particular supermarket that does the delivery.
Okay,
I'm surprised. I don't know why. How come this stuff hasn't taken off more? Like, for example, like you have Uber, which doesn't actually employ drivers and have their own fleet. They just they're an app and they contract with drivers. They're all independent contractors. They all have an iPhone and now an Android phone, and they do their thing. How come someone hasn't come up with an app which takes the inventory from your local Kroger or Food Lion or Martin's or Giant or whatever you have, Piggly Wiggly, and then contracts with like a local taxi company or and just lets anyone join and with their, if they have a taxi company in Sanuk, Georgia, and do this. I don't know why this hasn't taken off, this concept. I remember Jeff Bezos in his 60 Minutes interview said it was extremely difficult to do groceries profitably. So maybe there's a reason there. I'm not sure.
Because go, Michael.
I think the margin is too small. The margin on groceries, by and large, is something like 2 or 3%. It requires huge volume to make money in groceries. And now you're saying I want to add all the time, all the labor involved in walking down all the aisles and choosing the products, packaging them up, then the extra packaging, because the packaging is bigger than what you get if you go to the store and carry them home yourself. The grocery bags they give you are phenomenally strong. They're incredible grocery bags. And now I've switched to using Google Shopping bags as my trash bags because they're so good. And they send me bags that have 3 cans in them because they're worried the can will break through the bag. So I end up with a whole bunch of bags, and so now I'm just using them for trash cans instead of my actual trash can.
Maybe it's a niche market like clothing. Clothing will never be entirely online because basically you want to try on a pair of jeans to see if they fit or a shirt,
Clothing's different because you can now in the high-end stores you can stand in front of a smart mirror and the laser beams measure every crevice of your fat body and decide what clothing you need, and they send you tailored clothes. They can do that today. That's all happening.
I don't know if that's a mainstream commodity, though, is it? I mean, is that something that...
But it's a matter of time before the technology spreads that far.
Sure.
Well, but here's also the other thing, though, Dan.
Alan, do you ever find yourself going to a grocery store and just you're hungry, you're not sure what you want for dinner that night, and you want to kind of look around and kick the tires? You know what I mean?
No.
So
that's what people do when they go to a restaurant. They don't go to the grocery store for that.
I do that. I go there, and it depends how hungry you are. If I'm totally not hungry at all, I can't pick anything out. If I'm too hungry, I buy weird shit. And then if I'm in between just perfect hungry, then I can pick out something good. And maybe just buy a little bit of weird stuff. So, Alan, what were you saying? I apologize.
What I was going to point out is that the costs in all of this stuff start turning into shipping and delivery. So the reason why clothes, and a lot of people are moving to having stuff shipped to them and returning the stuff that they're not, when they try it on in the comfort of their home. The catch is who's going to be paying for that return shipment. And the clothing companies are doing that right now and building the cost into the clothes themselves because that's the only way they see that they can compete with brick and mortar stores. It turns into who are you pushing the cost of delivery on? In a brick and mortar store, that's hidden. Yes, you still need to pay for the brick and mortar store, but that cost is hidden. When something is being shipped to you, it's more obvious what that cost is.
But the cost of the brick and mortar is built into the price of the individual item as well. So
that's how online stores need to start thinking. They need to start taking some average shipping costs and stuff like that and start building them into the prices of their products and offer the free shipping.
Just like the cost of staff and bricks and mortar are built into the cost of every shirt you buy off the rack.
Right, but here's the problem. It's difficult to do that with food because you're essentially, if someone then goes and compares what the price, food is almost a commodity item.
It is a commodity item.
Compare this can of peas to the can of peas that are in the store.
That could not be more of a commodity item.
But Alan, the store has to pay for the stock boy, the cashiers, the bricks and mortar, the display cases. They have to pay
but they're already doing that.
But they're doing that on the volume they carry right now. So that's not an argument in against having the online alternative also absorb those sort of I'll call them infrastructure costs.
Right, but my point is that once you start doing that, you've essentially leveled out the costs.
Could be, but the convenience factor for me of sitting here tonight and ordering my groceries and having them delivered tomorrow, I can assure you that for busy people, this is a home run.
Well-
There is a difference. You have to plan a little bit more. So for the stuff you can plan, you'll buy online.
Yeah.
For the stuff you can't plan or you don't plan, you'll go to the store and you'll walk up and down the aisles and you'll buy them.
And for people who live a, medium to quite a ways away from the nearest grocery store, this also makes sense because, here in California, gas is $4 a gallon. Well, unless you have some kind of electric vehicle that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to charge up, then maybe the extra delivery price is worth it. If you did the cost comparison, you buying most of that stuff might be worth it.
Cy has a remark. Alan?
Let me do it here. Sai says, I'd happily have my groceries delivered, but I'm not yet in that 1% bracket and would rather pinch my pennies by shopping around and getting it myself.
And I think that's the point, is that right now the actual cost, the actual price of the item is about the same, whether you're getting it from the store or whether you're getting it delivered. The item price is the same. The difference is that right now you're also being charged for delivery. If they rolled that delivery price into the item, either they're cutting their margin, which is probably already pretty slim, or raising their price.
Yeah, Cy is right about this. The only reason I'm doing it right now is not because I'm part of the 1%, but rather because it's free right now. Google's doing a beta, and the Google Shopping service is free. So I'm not paying for deliveries. I can have.
Do you have any
$2 item and have it delivered?
Do you have any idea how much it will cost when it's not free?
It looks to me like, yes, I do. They've already said the price for delivery that you're now getting for free will be $9.98 per order, which is not per delivery, because that one delivery could be from Target, from Fair Market, from I've forgotten the name of the hardware store. Sorry, folks, and whoever else they get. Costco, if you're getting stuff from them. So all those different deliveries come together. The delivery charge is $9.98, which is the same charge as what you pay if you order a grocery order from Peapod, unless you order $50 or more, and then the delivery fee is waived. And
how can they possibly make any money? This is the problem with this. It's a great idea and concept, but it's like
they're not making money on it right now. They're testing it.
Yeah, they got to figure this out. This is like all the mice get together and decide, we got to hang a cat bell around the cat so we know when he's coming and
you don't
who's
see
going to actually do it.
You don't see Peapod in every city in the country, and you don't see it in any rural areas because it's not cost effective.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is like, if you wanted to roll out fiber, it's a lot easier in a fancy condo community than, guys separated 5 miles apart. Okay, so other comments, John Jensen, we've associated mostly with Stop and Shop. ShopRite from home is really big here in northern New Jersey. Personal shopper calls you if there are any problems. Quick delivery right into your kitchen, less than $20. And then your comment that you read from Cybernaut. And then P. Coaster is either bored with the topic or is our first deceased viewer. I'm not sure which.
I assume they were talking about the health topic.
Oh, okay, that's potential. But the way this topic's gone on, maybe they're talking about. We can go either way. We can flip a coin.
I'm done.
To use size analogy to pennies. Okay, so there we go. So next up is Google is said to be interested in acquiring Songza, which I'm looking at our topic doc here, which anyone is free to look at. And edit, actually, I think.
What is Songza?
And so one of you people troll it, and then we'll have to lock it down, maybe. Okay, Songza, honest to God, I don't know. It's like yet another song streaming service. Maybe Cadeus, if there's a God, he will tell us what this is. And in fact, handle the whole thing.
I used to use Songza a lot. Basically, Songza was is like a form of Pandora or Google Music. The only difference is that the lists are curated by actual people, and when they make, it's usually probably about 50 songs or less. So So you don't. It's not random. It's literally made. So if you choose the same settings every day, then you'd hear the same exact songs. So that's a pro and a con kind of. But yeah, that's what it is. So that's
Why would
interesting
Google buy it?
I don't know, because Google Music is 1,200 times better than songs.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I was just
so
listening.
I'm not sure why they would buy it.
That's weird. Is there some? Could they be buying some talent in the organization?
That's a valid question.
Question: If I know with
The answer.
like I bought an Anthony Bourdain series on the Travel Channel on YouTube, and it shows up in Google Play Movies, right? So YouTube purchased videos are in the same thing as Google Play Movies, right? It's the same thing.
Right.
So
Right.
does that apply to, for example, if there's a free song that's available on YouTube, probably monetized, like from me, what the hell is it, Vimeo or whatever the that thing that most of the artists are attached to? Does that show up in Google Music?
I have never looked for music videos, so that I don't know.
Even the audio. I swear to God, I wish
Well, the
YouTube
audio
would just have
isn't-
an audio version.
the
They
audio-
could overnight make the biggest audio podcasting network in the world. And why they don't do it, I have no idea. But that's a
Then they
pet
have
peeve.
to make
I've
audio
said multiple
advertising.
times.
But no, I don't think so. I don't think
Because-
the audio shows
so
up
we
there.
should
But what'll
invent-
happen is if the
So
video.
what
is
you're suggesting,
added-
Cadeas, is that we invent the radio ad? Because no one's ever done that?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that advertising's a little different. But for the music question, if a song is attached and Google recognizes it, they will point to the song in Google Play Music. So like if I make a video and I put a song and it recognizes it, and then I guess it passes Content ID and all this stuff, it'll under this in the description it'll say, hey, this song's available on Google Plus Music, Google Music, and the whole 9 yards. So that's how that works. As far as them buying songs, even this article is really not very. They're even kind of clueless as to why they would really want songs.
All right, so this is a non-story story.
Pretty much.
All right, next up is Google invites Fiber customers to test out new features early. Anybody all excited about this? This is, I guess, I'm not sure why I stuck this in.
What are
None of us lives in a fiber area anymore, so.
You know?
Anymore. He's got to stick that dig in. Anymore.
Yeah, because he used to be part of the 1%.
Wasn't a dig.
What can you say what the new features are?
No, I guess whenever they come out with new features, I guess they're gonna let us see them early. Let those fiber users see them early.
You mean like when the shape of Mr. Jingles changes again, so we can be excited about that new feature? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, Michael, this is even bigger. What this means is Google
bigger.
has a history of creating what they call a trusted tester groups. So you have to realize before you saw that different Mr. Jingles, there was a group of people who saw it before you did and who gave their feedback about whether that was good or not. Those are the trusted tester groups. What they're saying is they're creating a trusted tester group for fiber as well.
I see.
And let me tell you that Alan and I engaged in numerous conversations about whether it should be Mr. Jingles or Mrs. Jingles or the ambidextrous version. Just kidding.
The ambidextrous, that means that
That was a
Mr.
play on
Jingles-
unisex.
Mr.
And I
Jingles
gotta-
could do this either direction.
And I got to tell you, I can't share it. She can later, but Pam just put the funniest comment ever that I've ever seen in one of our internal chats.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So OMG. All right. So next up is we're all excited about Google's Fiber, and Wired. Google's new all-seeing satellites have huge potential for good and evil. This made it on Drudge Report, so this is kind of in the national conversation. Alan, should we all be concerned about Google peering in and finding out, secret stuff, or what's the deal here? Is this? I mean, don't we know that satellites are really good now, and they dumb them down because of government regulations on what they're allowed to, the detail and for liability issues?
Actually, that's an interesting point because the government just loosened those regulations on how detailed photos can be.
I think they can read your blood sugar from space now.
And that ties into Google Fit, yes.
It's going to go into Google Fit. Yeah.
But seriously, they do dumb those down. I mean, the Google Earth image, when you're like, oh, you can't, they actually could read a license. They could easily read a license plate from space, but they dumb those down to avoid, because of government regulations, and also to avoid lawsuits. I mean, if someone was walking in to have a nefarious affair with a married person and Google Earth captured that from space, then they would get sued, and these would be millions of lawsuits for all sorts of reasons. So they blur stuff, for that reason. And you do have a reasonable expectation if you're in your private walled-in swimming pool bathing topless, but I guess you don't anymore. So what's the deal with this, Alan?
I mean, I don't know. Skybox is already doing some. Skybox is the company that Google has purchased. They're already doing some very dramatic stuff with high-resolution images. Pretty much what Google has said, though, is at least on the short term, they intend to use it to keep Google Maps up to date. Maybe in the future they'll use it for more than just photography. But beyond that, Google's not really saying they've got any other major plans. This Wired article, kind of goes off the rails and said, well, yeah, but they could do all of these other things, like, launch nuclear missiles from them, or, they don't say that. But, yeah. They head down the slippery slope, and it's not necessarily a logical ride.
Okay, so we're all excited about that. And for anyone who likes looking at women on, topless in their backyards, I guess this is a good thing.
Now you can do it with a satellite.
Absolutely, yeah. And you won't get arrested. You can just be on your computer.
If you're not in the Riviera, you can still see all the topless girls there.
Absolutely. John Jensen notes from our previous topic, Amazon Music streaming is included with Prime subscription, but half the songs are already available on Spotify and Google Music. Amazon has 10 million songs, 20 million plus on Spotify, and Google Music didn't get a deal with one of the major companies. They did roll that product out earlier. I'm not sure what the deal was there. And then Cybernaut says reading plates from space has been possible since the 1980s. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so next up is The Daily Show skewers glass. I'm surprised it took them so long. Did you put this in, Alan? I didn't put this in. I didn't see this topic until we were mid-show.
Cadeas put this one in. Or
Cadeas
suggested we put this one in, and I grudgingly agreed.
Would you wish to weigh in on this, perchance, Cadeas Kalut, with your gigantic 7 of 9?
What is
glasses?
7 of 9? You always say 7
of 9 is that
What do you mean,
sexy,
7 of 9?
is the sexiest woman in the history of humankind from
Yes.
Star Wars, or Star Trek,
No.
excuse me, Star
Yeah.
Trek. Which one?
She
was
was a half
Voyager,
woman, half
right?
Borg
yeah,
So
from-
why are you
from Voyager.
comparing me to her?
because she had all this Borg shit on her face, and I just that's my
You had a-
analogy.
you
You
had
seriously, you are a glass user and you've never heard of Star Trek? Are you kidding me?
Sorry, I'm too young, I guess. I don't know.
Come on.
Star Trek.
All right.
Oh my God, you just lost. You know how much street
I
cred
saw
you
the-
just
I saw the
lost?
movie.
You have
I saw
you have
the
no
movie.
street cred now.
I wasn't supposed to have street cred from the beginning. So-
Oh my God, how could you be like
I
a
saw the Star
tech
Trek
geek?
movie. And
But-
I've seen the intro to the series when it used to come on TV, but that's it.
Dan,
Not him. It was the one with the woman captain.
Dan, you can't be you can't.
No,
have
there was the
street cred.
original Captain Kirk, who I'm
1%
sure you only
Yeah.
know from his Priceline commercials. And then there was the black guy. That was my favorite series. Then there was the woman. And then there was the British guy, which is my second favorite, I think. Patrick Stewart. My God, I mean, he could read the phone book to me, and I would just be mesmerized.
You just gave them out of order, but ignoring that.
You did, yeah. And
I didn't specify a particular order, but you must be impressed that I got them all right.
You said first there was, and then there was, and then there was. So you did specify an order.
Right.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Anyways, as my
Dan.
employees would say. All right, go ahead, and then
And
we'll go to
cred and be part of the 1% in the same show.
fair.
That's just not possible.
Yeah, you cannot do that. All right,
Can we
so
get back to the topic?
Rich Black, tech guy who's
Sure.
never heard of Star Trek, could you please tell us about this topic? Good ass.
Okay, so basically, the Daily Show with Jon Stewart decided to do a little bit for Google Glass. I thought it was pretty interesting and pretty funny at some parts, and just thought everybody should watch it.
Well, was it? Was it funny? Was it good? I mean, was it fair, or was it a hit job?
It was funny. It was funny. It was good. I mean, you have to understand that that's satire. So I mean, it brought how ridiculous people can be about glass. So.
Was it as good as the initial? Remember that Saturday Night Live skit with the guy like going like this?
I never saw that one.
Oh my God, that was funny. Bitingly, like I would be embarrassed if, if I was like in charge. I mean, it was just funny. But that's the price you pay. And I've been beaten up online before, right? I've been like subject to major attack online, and so I get that. But Alan, what would you think? Did you see it?
I saw it. I'd been alerted that it existed from some of the other Glass Explorers who were interviewed. They brought in 6 people who have had 5 people plus one other who have had issues with people encountering them with glass, and interviewed them. And several of them posted ahead of time, essentially saying, "Hey, watch the Daily Show tonight."
Oh my God.
So I was alerted ahead of time to find the segment, and parts of it were funnier than others. I don't think it was the Daily Show's best segment. It wasn't. I don't know. I wouldn't say that it wasn't funny, because there were certainly some lines that had me laughing hysterically. But overall, it wasn't a terribly funny routine.
But
Is
Alan,
it online now?
I'm sorry.
What was that, Michael?
Michael, go ahead.
Is it online to see now? Can we get a link and put it
Yes,
in the...
if you go to if you do a search for the Daily Show, it's from the current show, and the segment is there. It's pretty obvious.
Was it
Okay, I
on
wanna-
for folks watching later, as many of our viewers do? Was it on June 12 or 11 or what was it?
It was on June 12th.
Okay, so yeah, I looked earlier at whatever time, and the 11th one was on, so it wasn't there. So yeah, I'll watch that for sure. Was it as funny as the SNL skit, Alan, which had the guy like,
I thought the SNL skit ran too long. It was funny the first 30 seconds and not so funny the next 4 minutes.
like many SNL skits? Like not that the same couldn't be said about Google Plus Week.
Well, our program's pretty funny the entire way through, at least partly because of its length. It's difficult for me because I'm obviously coming in with a bias. I think he made some good points in his satire, and those were pretty well done. And other parts, not so well done. And I kind of wish the people he was I kind of wish they had used clips that answered the questions better. It's no surprise they took 4 hours worth of interviews and condensed it down to a 5-minute segment. Stuff got cut.
The nation has long been haunted by discrimination.
Sorry.
Thank you, whoever's playing it.
I'm sorry. That was me by mistake.
It's okay. So, you can easily see that they pulled stuff out that made the humor the way they wanted it to be, and that's fine. I understand that. For me, it was a bit of a downer, though, at least parts of it. Other parts were very funny, though.
Anytime something, what precipitated this being in the news? What was the premise?
I have the link, Dan, in...
Michael, go ahead.
Had dropped there.
Or should I say Your Holiness, the Dalai Lama there?
He's put the link on our internal chat.
Okay. So Alan, is the What was the actual?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you guys said.
It's okay. What was the actual news story that precipitated the skit? Was there an event or something? Because it's kind
No,
of
there was not. It was just the general issue of
the accumulation of glass stories in the media. It's a fair topic, you know. And frankly, if I'm selling a product, I would much rather be made fun of on the Daily Show than ignored. I guess maybe I don't know.
Well, I don't know. The Daily Show is pretty good at skewering people, and you know it was clear they were not being they were certainly not being kind to glass.
Yeah, I don't know why it works though. You know, I think in the end, like the Congressman Bobby Scott in Virginia, I saw it was on the Colbert Report, and you know you're going to get beat up. You know that you just. And there are actually websites with advice on how to appear on these shows, because they say don't try to be funny, you'll fail because these guys are better than you and they're smarter than you, and so but if you just play along and just act serious and ignore the fact that these guys are portraying, well, at least in Colbert's case, a willfully ignorant person, right, on purpose, and so Bobby Scott, whose legal name is Robert Scott, he goes on the Colbert Report and he says, so Stephen says, so your name is Robert Scott? Yes. What's your last name? Scott. So it's Robert Scott. No, it's like, but he's still in the segment managed to get his point across. So I think even if they skewer you, you're still getting publicity.
Yeah, but Glass is getting plenty of publicity, and not much of it
always
good.
positive, right? Which which we disagree on this, but I think it's Google's fault because they have not done a good job on that issue. And enjoying the last word, I will say next is auto backup photos. Oh, this is the topic everyone's been waiting for. Auto backup photos from Chromebook. I don't know who put this one in, but I'm just going to take a while. I'm just going to throw a dart out there and hit Alan.
You put this one in, Dan.
I did? Really? Apparently you can auto backup photos from Chromebook now.
Yeah.
I didn't put this in there.
There was an application for Chromebooks where if you were running it at the time and you inserted an SD card from your camera, it would upload it then. Now that application can run in the background if you want, and if you set it to auto back things up, it can do so for you just like your phone does. It's an option. You've got to install it. You've got to enable it. You've got to do a bunch of stuff. But it's now a feature that's there. Michael Banks, have you played with this yet?
I have. I don't know about all the extra stuff you gotta do to it. 'Cause, I mean, I just installed it. It came up. It asked that I want to enable auto backup when I, the SD part, and then I want full-size images uploaded, and that was pretty much all I had to do.
That's where this feature's been around for a while. I'm kind of shocked that it wasn't, because I know when I put, you mean in the background, so that the pop-up that I get with the 15-second countdown, I won't have that this time.
Exactly.
Correct.
Okay. I get it.
All right, so this is yet another exciting new feature about Chromebooks. Should I buy that Chromebook that has the unlimited T-Mobile for life thing at Costco? It's like $350.
Wasn't that a tablet?
And it's not unlimited, Dan.
No, Costco has. I'm sorry, not unlimited. Costco has I think it's $379 or $359 or about $350. It's a Chromebook, so it's a laptop Chromebook. It has unlimited 250 megabytes a month with T-Mobile for the lifetime of the device for free. Once you buy the device, but T-Mobile is only 2G. At best, it's 2G in my area. Unfortunately, because I'd love to be a T-Mobile user because they have the most competitive things, but they're only in certain areas. It's like Google Shopping. It's great if you can get it. But what do you guys think about that? And I was talking to Craig about this. I'm thinking in terms of our sales reps. when they go in and they want to demo something online, and they're looking for some sort of quick and easy device to open up. I'm not talking like looking at Netflix or YouTube, because obviously you'd eat up that 250 megabytes real quick. But for basic data stuff, or even if you had to get, a $30 plan or whatever a month, is that a good solution, Alan?
Today's giving thumbs up. So
Yeah, good. It's a good solution.
All right, well, that settles that. And 7 of 9 was on Voyager, Star Trek Voyager, from our very alert audience. And Pam has returned from her mission.
you forgot to mention the actress's name, who is on Google Plus. It's Jerry Ryan.
The absolutely the sexiest Star Trek character ever was played by Jerry Ryan. I'm gonna get a poster and put them on my wall if they still make posters. All right, so next up is Elon Musk of Tesla. Put this post out that they're going to open source some of their patents with certain conditions, and I want to get Alan's take on this. On the one hand, I'm thinking, is this real? I'm a huge Tesla fan. I'm a huge Elon Musk fan. I think my most shared ever post on Google Plus in 3 years was about Tesla, like 1,500 shares or something ridiculous, and but this seems to me like either like WTF or I question the business sense of this, just from like preserving shareholder value. What are your thoughts, Alan, on this? I
My
can't see
thoughts
this
on
becoming
this
a new
is
movement.
that Elon Musk has apparently realized that this is only going to increase the value of Tesla. And here's why. Let me paint this analogy for you. What if Henry Ford, when he created the automobile, made it so that his gas tank took a proprietary nozzle, and his competitors, and he patented it, thus preventing anybody else from using that nozzle. And all of his competitors did the exact same thing, so that in order to get gas for a Ford, you needed to go to a gas station that had licensed Ford technology. How well do you think the automobile would have proliferated?
Quick friendly correction before our viewers weigh in. Henry Ford did not invent the automobile or the assembly line, but he
Did I say invented the automobile?
did it better than anybody else did. Yeah.
Did I say he invented the automobile?
He said created the automobile or something, but that's cool. The pressure's on. But yeah, so that's a good point. Yeah, if he can take his proprietary or compatible stuff, I guess it wouldn't be proprietary by definition of the premise of this article.
Right.
It would be
So-
the IBM compatible PC.
What he's essentially doing with this is saying that he thinks Tesla can be far enough ahead of any competitor so that they're going to keep doing awesome stuff and keep making money, and still at the same time have other people using their technology and boosting it, thereby entrenching the Tesla solution. And
Basically, he's creating an industry that's not there.
What did you say? That's not fair?
That's not there.
No,
That's not there.
basically creating an industry that's not currently here.
Oh yeah.
Basically.
What's really fascinating is it's exciting as a citizen of the United States, even though I grew up overseas and I didn't come here full time till the 9th grade. It's exciting to see us innovating in this area again.
I'm sorry, it's my nephew. He's shy to be on camera, but he was waving to everybody.
Okay. I saw him waving. I was trying to figure out who it was.
Oh, bring him in again. Tell him to say hi.
He doesn't want to be on camera.
Okay.
But
I see his arm.
was.
He
Yeah.
has a nice.
Gosh, I wonder where he gets that opinion.
What's up, nephew?
He said, "I wonder where he gets that opinion." So.
I'm Dan. Nice to meet you.
He came on camera for a minute, though.
Nice left arm and torso, action going on there.
He said thank you.
No problem.
Space too, Dan. Come on.
So that's interesting, and it'll be interesting to see where this goes. But what's so fascinating is in the context of the turmoil that's going on in Iraq, they said that oil prices worldwide are shooting up. But what's saving the U.S. to a large extent from massive price increases is this shale explosion. So we're going to become we're almost there now, and we're very close because of the technology that is allowing shale, which is a controversial, the fracking procedure. But that aside, we're becoming probably the dominant oil producer in the world, more so than Saudi Arabia even. At the same time, we have a U.S.-based, U.S.-manufactured automobile that's electric. And so if this thing takes off with the next-gen Teslas, because Elon Musk said that, first they're expensive and rare, then they're expensive and popular, and the third generation is inexpensive and popular. When he gets to that point, we're going to see more people driving fully electric vehicles. We're already seeing a lot of, it's not rare at all now to see a hybrid on the road. Priuses were very rare at first, but now they're commonplace. And at the same time that we're seeing automobiles which consume less oil, we're also producing more oil than anybody else. So we're kind of insulated, and I am definitely an environmentalist from the national security angle. I don't like having to be reliant on countries that want to bomb us, and are only rich because of oil, because it would be destitute and poverty-stricken but for oil. So this is like the perfect storm for the United States, and it's fascinating, and to watch this company grow and prosper in the best way. But it's right here in the United States. And there, to our international viewers, are similar success stories in all of your countries, and that's great. But to be a jingoist for just a moment, I think this is awesome. The Tesla's happening here. That it's the most appropriately named company I can think of. So innovative. Go ahead.
Dan, you've been a misogynist and a jingoist in the same show. That must be a record.
Two terms that some of our viewers may have to actually look up. Although I am embarrassed that one of our panelists doesn't know about Star Trek. When Google Plus is allegedly all about male geeks.
And search. He could find out even if he didn't know.
Yeah.
I was interested, but I love the movie.
Pam, see ya. All right, so next up is the Second Circuit.
Did we actually finish this story?
Apparently not. Go ahead, Alan. Please finish the story.
I think the other interesting aspect to it is he's saying that he's essentially giving everyone the patents, or kind of giving it an open license.
Yeah.
As long as people don't exploit it. And I think that's an interesting angle, because it essentially says that if anybody tries to create a derivative technology that kind of takes the standard and then expands on it to make it non-standard, which is a tactic of a certain software company located in Washington, whose name will who will remain nameless, but which starts with an M.
I think it starts with an M and ends with an FU, right? Just kidding.
So basically, but he's saying that if anybody tries to create a derivative work of his, Tesla reserves the right to stomp on it. So it's not like they're willing to be exploited.
Right.
Just that as long as you're contributing to the greater good, he's willing to let you contribute to the greater good.
Using what he's already built. Which is, it's not a trivial contribution to the world.
No.
But he's doing it self-servingly, and I think that's wonderful. This is a very cool thing. Once I understood it.
It's the perfect balance.
One of the things we've talked about in the past are those win-win scenarios. And here is a case where it's really everybody can win. Tesla will win by having the technology out there and widely adopted. Consumers will win by having by
cost lowering because more people are entering the market and more people are delivering on this technology. And third parties, other companies will win because they have access to these patents. It's win-win-win all around. The only people that lose are the automakers in Detroit.
It's not even really clear that they have to lose. But they have to lose if they require that they stay by their current business model.
Well, it's true. They don't have to lose, but they will because they have no clue what they're doing.
But then that's of their own volition.
Yep.
They're losing the same way they lost when the Japanese threatened to take all of their market share and essentially did. They lost that because they were idiots and they didn't run their business like good business people. They thought they deserved to have the business, and they forgot that customers are the ones who decide who deserve to have the business.
We have this great quote by Cy that I want to bring up here. It's the fax machine analogy. The first fax machine was worthless because you had nobody to send faxes to. The technology only becomes valuable once you reach a certain tipping point of adoption. Musk can have 100% of a tiny market or 30% of a huge market. And I think
part of
it's clear
something is
that,
better than all or nothing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
And another comment from Cy about or this is from John. Kate Mulgrew, I think I'm not sure if we're spelling that right, but she was the captain, the one all the Star Trek captain. I wasn't a big fan of Enterprise, the last series they did, but there's a really great video if you're a fan. So take note, Cadeas. If you're a fan, there was, I think it was on one of the DVD collections, but they actually have a pilot tested with a different captain playing the role. I think it was Voyager, the first episode. It was one of the episodes. There was a pilot, and they had a different captain who was trying out for the role, and she wasn't hired. And they ended up going, I think it was with Kate Mulgrew. So that's out there. If you want to see the pilot of, I think it's Voyager, but it could have been one of the other episodes. But if you're a true fan, you want to look for that. It might be on YouTube or somewhere on the internet.
Dan?
But anyway, so
Dan?
it's awesome. Yes, Alan
It's the
Furstenberg.
original pilot for the original show.
Are you
the
serious?
original Voyager show.
So it's like
the original series, the original Star Trek,
So
the
it's like-
original pilot did not have Captain Kirk. It
no,
had a
this was
different
one of
character,
the
a different actor.
one of the subsequent series. There is it's like an extra feature on the DVD, where they have a different character, and they describe that she was testing out for the role and she didn't get the role, and somebody else got the role, and so I think it's Voyager, because I think she was the only female captain, but
Yeah.
they had a different actress who was very different and had some international accent. So I'm not sure where she was from, but she was good. But for whatever reason, they went in a different direction. But that's out there somewhere, and it's obscure, and I've only seen it once. But it was really interesting because I'd seen the original that I was familiar with, and then I saw this person, and it was exact same actors, Data or whoever was on it, right? The guy with the glasses, but it was really cool. So that's a little, we try to do Star Trek trivia on each of our episodes.
Okay. I'm going to grossly mispronounce her name. It apparently was a French-Canadian actress, Genevieve Bujold.
That sounds right.
Who was in the role very briefly. The page that I'm looking at has a shot of her. Very excited about starting the new series, Bujold. I must admit, I've never been a Trekkie. I'd heard of Star Trek, never seen any of the shows. Yada, 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 yada. The actress quit after a day and a half while filming the pilot episode.
Okay, so that would be... She quit?
That's what this page says. It was immediately obvious it was not a good fit.
Okay, so that's what happened. So
Well, she
it
couldn't
wasn't
figure
that
that out
the
before coming to
producers
the
thought
show.
that.
My goodness.
But there is out there's video. I've seen it online. I'm not sure if I had the actual DVDs or if it was a YouTube thing or whatever, but somewhere out there, if you're a true Trekkie fan, it's really interesting to see the same pilot that was shot with her, also shot with Kate, with the same actors doing the same lines. It's just really interesting. It kind of breaks down the facade. And there's also another great video, and then I swear to God I'll move on to the Second Circuit Court. But there's some YouTube videos of people who broke into, I don't know if it was Deep Space Nine or The Next Generation or whatever it was, but they actually broke into the set and they filmed it or videotaped it or videoed it. We need a new verb for that because like you don't use tape or video, but you're still like capturing moving images. But they went into the set and they recorded it, their burglary into the set, and they were like posing. You know, I'm in the captain's chair and stuff. It's kind of a neat. Not that I would encourage such behavior, right? Because I like suspended belief and being, you know, swept away to a galaxy far, far from Bentonville, Virginia, the center of the universe. So go ahead,
Hey,
Alan.
Again, he mixes up Star Wars and Star Trek.
Yeah, I'm on 5 hours sleep. Or
We have this comment from Cy because this is, after all, television this week, talking about how Kate Mulgrew is in the show Orange is the New Black on Netflix in the role of Red. So apparently Cy has been binging on this the latest season.
She's the cook in the prison.
I think Cy knows even more about Star Trek than Cadeas does.
But he also knows something about Orange is the New Black.
Absolutely, which is the most popular show that Netflix has ever done, and it did and did not surprise me. Compared,
House of Cards has to be more popular.
It wasn't. There was an interview on CNN, and you can watch the video if you go to CNN's reliable sources from last week. Right now we're at June 13, so the previous Sunday before June 13. And there's a video where Brian Stelter interviews one of the top Netflix people, and they one of the things is he said that Orange is the New Black was more popular, and I can see that, even though House of Cards got more publicity, because journalists by nature would be more interested in House of Cards because it's a political drama. It's like kind of the godfather of politics, and politicians would be interested in it. As far as mainstream appeal, I could see that Orange and the New Black, even though I lost interest after like 2 episodes, I could see how that could be a bigger deal. But I'm very excited to see originals coming out from online sources because competition's better, unless there's competition in, free newspapers in Warren and Frederick County, Virginia, which would be a very bad thing. I'm just kidding. All right, next up is Second Circuit Court okays scanning entire books for indexing and fair use practices. Alan, you brought this to my attention prior to the show, and I think that the deal is this is not Google Books, but it's relevant to that situation. If you could kind of give us a primer or primer, I'm not sure what the phrasing is, on that whole controversy and what this is and how it might relate to it. That'd be awesome.
So this is a little unclear to me, and I only was able to read the briefest amount of it before we came on. But it sounds like the Authors Guild, who is currently involved in a suit against Google for scanning and making whole books available online, apparently brought a suit against an alliance or a group of colleges who are licensing an index from Google of a collection of books. And it was actually more than an index, but apparently the colleges were saying the license was for some very limited and specific activities. So the license allowed for searches against the full book, which would return a page number, but not the page. It also allowed for full access to the full copy of the book, but only for
students and faculty who are unable to physically hold the book itself. So it provided accessibility to a book where there may not have been some accessibility in other circumstances, and it let these universities give access to a book where the original of the book had been lost or destroyed, and the replacement value of the book was unreasonable. What the court appears to have ruled on is that the first two cases were covered by fair use, so that indexing the entire book and providing an index is a fair use of it and could be done without falling under the derivative clause. So this is not a derivative work, it was a wholly separate work. Seems a little odd to me, but I didn't read the decision itself. Second was that providing it for accessibility purposes was very much a fair use of the book. And they declined to rule on the third point, saying that the guild didn't have standing. It wasn't clear to me why that's true, but that's apparently how they ruled. So this is interesting and significant because Google has been embroiled in a lawsuit with the Authors Guild. Google has been trying to scan in every single book that's out there, and if a book has been abandoned by various definitions that really do try to establish that a book is abandoned, that Google would have permission to release it, whereas books that still had a valid copyright owner, Google would need to pay royalties to the owner. And the Authors Guild doesn't really like how that formula has been worked out. This apparently is more ammunition for Google and against the Authors Guild in that upcoming case.
Anybody else see something that is interesting? And I don't know if I would call it troubling or a good thing. I'm not sure how to read this, but I'm seeing that technology is clearly outpacing legislation because technology moves so much faster. So what we're having here, like with these patent cases, with Apple versus Samsung and this kind of thing, and a lot of other things we've discussed over the last 3 years, we're seeing that judges or panels of judges or juries are put in the position of having to figure out complex issues because there is no clear-cut legislation. And I'm not sure if there's a better way to deal with it. I'm not sure if there's a solution to this. But it's interesting that they're put in this position. They're a legal scholar, maybe, but they're not necessarily a technical expert, although usually the judges put in charge of these cases are technically inclined and deal with those cases on a regular basis.
Well, but hang on, Dan.
That's a phenomenon I'm seeing here.
It's not a new phenomenon.
It's not new.
It's not new. I think the bigger problem, though, is the one you hinted at towards the end there, and that's that the judges are not technologically savvy enough to understand and apply existing law already to these new circumstances. And in some cases, it's understandable why not, because the new circumstances are presenting very different legal profiles. And in other cases, it almost seems clear-cut about, for those of us who do understand the technology, how a law should be applied. And the judges are not making those decisions because they do not understand that application, or they're looking at it from a very different point of view than a technologist would.
Alan, isn't that the same problem that they faced when Gutenberg created the printing press? The first time the Bible was available to be mass distributed? The people that had to evaluate that new technology were essentially the judges, who happened to also be the church, who were viewing it from their own perspective, their own view of the world, and they had the same problem of it. I'm not suggesting it's not significant. It is significant. But as you pointed out at the beginning of your statement, It's not a new problem. This problem of the people who have to adjudicate these things are learning along with all the rest of society what this new technology means. And sometimes I guess they'll get it right, perhaps by luck and a lot of hard work, and sometimes they'll get it wrong for a while.
Michael, I hear you. My issue or my question or premise is that sometimes technology outpaces legislation, and so you have new kinds of disputes, not just new disputes, but new kinds of disputes in a whole new paradigm, and there's no clear-cut answer, and so these judges are placed in the position because technology is constantly not only changing but changing more rapidly, and so I'm not sure what the solution is. I guess this is the least bad solution, right? Of all the bad options, this is the least bad. But it's just interesting that because Congress is right now basically at a complete standstill, and I'll address that in an upcoming topic. In fact, our next topic. But when you have stuff like this come up, how do you deal with it? There's no law to guide you. Basically, we are in fact seeing legislation from the bench because they're creating new.
But that's not new either.
I hear you. Roe v. Wade and other milestone things. You
can go back a lot further than Roe v. Wade.
I'm going to get these wrong, and our audience will definitely call me out. But yeah, legislating from the bench is not new. The concept of a corporation as a person is a recent example. The Citizens United case in the Supreme Court, where they ruled that a corporation should be able to donate money to a cause because they have to pay taxes. And that became the phrase that was characterized with the phrase "a corporation is a person" now. But the logic there, and you can disagree or agree. I'm not weighing in on that issue, but the logic was that if the corporation is subject to taxes, and the United States has the second highest corporate tax rate in the world, I think second only to either like Nigeria or North Korea or somebody, but that they should be allowed to have influence and give freely, that money is speech. So that was basically legislating from the bench, and the court's done that many times. Go ahead. We got a comment, Alan?
A couple of comments from Cy, who apparently started reading the decision. The angle in this case is via the Disabilities Act, because this provides access to reading challenged individuals, also a great boon to research because you can't currently search across such a breadth of work. Here's the thing, though. That's actually two different issues, though, I think, Cy. And I have not read the case, I will admit. So it's obvious to me how you can say, yes, if you're providing a book in an alternate format such that somebody who could not previously read it can now read it, that seems pretty obvious to me to be fair use. That the angle of cannot currently search across such a breadth of work, that's not entirely clear to me. That certainly I don't think a Disabilities Act angle on it. So it's not entirely clear, and I suppose I should yield to you because you have read the decision and I haven't. If I read everything right, this only applies to nonprofit ventures. That may be true, but I thought it was Google selling the index to these universities. Now, the suit was against the universities, and the universities using it, so you may still be right there. Either way, I think this still opens the door towards the Authors Guild suit against Google directly, because at least some of what Google is looking to do is essentially provide open access to some of these books, provide open access to the indexes, and provide royalties to those authors where they can be located. So, again, it's not an exact parallel, but I think some of the issues are similar. And he provides a link, which I'm not sure came out correctly here, probably not, which I'm going to have to pursue later, because I can't read it while I'm on the show. Any of your further comments, however, are certainly most welcome, and I'll try to get them on.
Yeah, I think it's a tough call, and this gets to fair use, and that is a gray area. It's almost it's one of these legal issues that is on a case per case basis, and so we don't know for sure. And it's just, I'm not condemning or condoning. I'm just pointing out that it's interesting that these case per case bases, like this, or like the famous, totally unrelated but not really, pornography, where the Supreme Court justice famously said, "It's hard to define it, but I know it when I see it." In cases like this, we do tend to rely on judges, and we hope that they do a good job and are fair, and they legislate from the bench. There are times when they can't totally anticipate every possible scenario and legislate. So in the end, you rely on a judge to make what's a fair and equitable decision. And I could get into a whole like why sentencing guidelines are BS argument here, but that's a whole separate discussion. If you're going to hire a judge and pay him six figures or her six figures, let them be a judge and make a freaking decision, right? If nothing else, a judge should be able to do that. So all that. Anyway, are we good on this topic?
Just one final one from Cy. The searching bonus is just a happy bonus to the decision, not something that seems to have played a role in the judge's decision. Okay, thanks for reading this for us, Cy, and not paying attention to Dan's rambling in the process.
All right, so my next ramble is I'll be rambling on the Virginia Talk Radio Network tomorrow at 11:07 a.m. Eastern Time. That would be 8:07 a.m. Pacific Time. Just after 11 a.m. Eastern. If you're in California, 8 a.m. I'll be discussing this guy, Dave Brat, who beat Eric Cantor, the House Majority Leader. This was a shock. And this is just like an hour from me, where this district is. Not even that. It's right in Culpeper, like 30 minutes from me. But he beat Eric Cantor, and I didn't know anything about him. And I joked in the segment that I don't feel so stupid, because when I Googled his name, the first and the third Google search results were, "Who is Dave Brat?" So I felt less stupid then, or less uninformed, because nobody saw this coming. I mean, this has never happened. The majority leader position was created in 1899. None of them have ever lost a primary challenge since 1899, which is a pretty long history. So I also am, now he's of course a Republican nominee now. There's a Democrat nominee. What's interesting, there's many interesting aspects of this. Both of the nominees are professors. Dave Brat, the Republican who beat Cantor, is an economics professor. The Democrat nominee is a history professor. Now, I don't know hardly anything about the Democratic nominee, because on his website, he just won. He says, like, updates are coming soon. He doesn't even have, like, a donate button. I mean, it's totally, like, a quick website. It has, like, a basic bio. I live in this town. I'm a teacher here. There's no information about any issues or anything. So I'll fill that out later. But it just was really interesting. And the most interesting thing, and this is the tech angle, he beat up Cantor on immigration, because Cantor talked about the DREAM Act, where the idea is to put the best spin possible on this, or the worst spin, depending on your perspective. If you have a kid who's brought into the United States, let's say they're 6-month-old infant, the mother brings them in, they lie to the kid and say he's legal or she's legal, but they're really not. And then the kid doesn't even know Spanish, and at 17 finds out that the kid's illegally here. The kid's never been to Mexico or Honduras or wherever. Is it fair to send that kid back, who has not committed any crime, is here illegally but has not committed a crime, is not even aware of his home country really, has never been there, doesn't know any of the culture, to just say like, okay, you're going back to Mexico. I think most people would say, well, in that, which is clearly that's like a specifically drawn situation to engender sympathy. The other side of the coin is you got these kids coming over from countries that are like hundreds a day from the other countries right now, and that hit at the same time. So it's a really interesting topic. But his argument was that he said Mark Zuckerberg was trying to get cheap labor, and these other corporations trying to get like corporate welfare, cheap labor, and that's why they're pushing immigration stuff. And they talked about all the kids coming over. So it's a really interesting thing. But he said like they're screwing American workers. This is the opposite. I'm trying to be really balanced here. And it was just a really interesting thing. And I've since become a student of this guy just to see, and I think he's a fascinating candidate, and it's a really interesting story because I did not see this coming at all.
Well, probably no one saw this coming, Dan.
Nobody saw this coming.
Even the Democrats didn't expect this. That's why they must have run essentially a filler candidate who was there only so that Eric Cantor wouldn't run unopposed, because no one expected, the Democrats certainly didn't expect the House Majority Leader to lose in the primary. So they put up a name. They recruited somebody who's, forgive me, the man who's running. I owe him. I'm sorry to say this, but
Trammell.
They picked you because they knew you couldn't win, and they didn't care that you wouldn't win, and you probably didn't care that you wouldn't win. It's a throwaway election when you're running against the House Majority Leader. So they pick somebody like that, and now he's got to be a real candidate. Now he's the guy on the ballot. And suddenly they have to build a website for him and build fundraising infrastructure for him. This is a huge deal.
And can you imagine working with someone at your same business, or in this case, a college, and both of you are opposite opponents in the same congressional race? How awkward is that?
They work at the same school? I didn't know that.
Yeah, both are Randolph-Macon. I used to teach. I was a teacher and then an administrator at Randolph-Macon Academy in Front Royal, Virginia. There's a former sister, but now disassociated, or they have separate boards or whatever. But in Ashland, Virginia, there's Randolph-Macon College, and both candidates, the Democrat and the Republican, teach at the same school. And yeah, you're right. But what was interesting to me, Michael, is a lot of times you see the guys who are railing on immigration. It's like, if you don't look just like me, and they got their guns and stuff, and it's kind of hypocritical. It's like, I'm not a Cherokee, you're not a Navajo, so we're all immigrants. But this guy's argument was economic, because he's an economics professor, and his argument is that this is about cheap foreign labor, which is going to screw our local constituents, so that Mark Zuckerberg can get cheap programmers instead of having to pay what they're worth, which is an argument that has an appeal not just to the Tea Party types, but also to some liberals and to some union folks, right?
Yeah. Labor.
It's a very interesting spin. And I'm not advocating in any way for this. I'm saying as an observer, but I will talk about this tomorrow on the radio. It's on the Virginia Talk Radio Network, 11:07 a.m. Just Google that and you'll find it, or look at the link on our post.
I'm absolutely tuning in for this.
Oh, yeah, it's a good conversation. And I can tell you this, I will predict now on our show live that I think that this guy, Dave Brat, I've seen Democrats, Republicans, and I have friends in both parties, that I think this guy is going to go national. I think that he could be a Republican Obama. I think that this guy is...
he's very sharp.
He's extremely intelligent. He's funny. He's witty. He's got a really compelling message that I think will reach his electorate. And I totally see him becoming a national figure and possibly a presidential candidate, if not president, in fairly due course. I would just say that. I'm just throwing that crazy prediction out there now. But I've seen politicians, I've covered all these guys. I've seen them in person, Reagan, Bush, I covered Obama. I've seen all these guys. in person, shook their hands in some cases, or covered them from a lens. But this guy's got the juice. He's, as far as, and again, I'm not saying I agree with everything he says. I'm saying that I've studied these guys. This guy is really good as a ladybug. If you're curious what the bug in front of my face is, he is that good at politics, and I've seen the best. This guy's good, and I would encourage you to, if you're just curious, because this will be the race that everyone follows. Dave Bratt, B-R-A-T, and you'll find his webpage, and he's got like a videos link, and he's got some YouTube videos, and look for the one that says like his basic stump speech, and he kind of like goes into basic stuff, and it's just unbelievable. It's just, this guy's that good. Again, I'm not advocating for his views. I'm saying as a tactician, I can tell you, if a Microsoft ad, I hate Microsoft, I could say this is a good ad. I like Google a lot. I could say this is a good ad. I'm not necessarily putting out whether I would vote for the guy or not, but I'm saying this guy's got the goods. I think he's headed for national political stardom. Next up is Uber demonstrations snarl traffic from London to Berlin, and Michael, you and I, and I guess Cadeas are the major international guys here, and Alan, just in general. This is basically the same kind of thing we've seen everywhere. Uber is the app it's a company that operates an app where people can apply to be a cab driver, or a driver. I guess you don't call it cab, right? Because of legal definitions in various jurisdictions that have certain requirements based on what you call yourself. But you have an app on the phone. It's an iPhone, an Android app, and then Uber contracts with you, and then it's kind of like an eBay for taxi drivers, where you get to rate the driver, how good he or she is, and they do the reverse. They can rate you as a customer, although that's kept private just among the drivers for security reasons. And then you pay online, and the tip's included. And so it's just a seamless, quick way to get a ride. And they're getting hostility now worldwide, instead of just in D.C. and other U.S. cities. Michael, you're a frequent traveler, probably more. Cadeas is probably second on that list. I used to be on that list, but I haven't traveled for quite some time. But what do you think, Michael, on this? This is going to happen everywhere they go, right? Because this is the chainsaw meeting the axe.
Yeah, I haven't used Uber personally, so I can't speak to that directly, except from what I've learned about what it does. But I have to say, this is no surprise that the uproar about Uber is spreading to other Western nations where regulation is the norm and free market is not the norm. So this is about free markets winning and government regulation, which supports, by the way, the special interests that keep those same people in office. It's true in all the Western countries and in all corrupt nations that these interests give money to people who protect their monopolies on marketplaces. So the reason that people don't want Uber in New York City or in London, and it's the exact same reason, is that it infringes on the people who have made money in that industry for a long time, and they give money to the politicians who are the ones who are putting the regulations in place against Uber. It's quite straightforward. And we have dead air. Dan. Alan, are you there?
I'm here. I've got nothing to say on this topic, really.
Yeah. Okay, in the article they said that it was, I apologize, I obviously stepped off for just a moment.
Sorry, I wasn't watching the screen, and I shut up before I was.
No, it's okay. It's okay. The hair and makeup lady was calling me. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So
did a beautiful
one of the
job,
things that surprised me is that in London they said it's like $300,000 to get in U.S. dollars, like 200 and something in sterling, to get a license to drive one of those black taxi cabs, those iconic and I lived in London for 2 years, and those taxis are awesome. They're beautiful vehicles. They're great, but to charge £250,000, it's like I know the same thing. Like to get a hot dog cart license in New York, it could be six figures, or DC. You know, they're limited. It's almost like they're culling deer, but with humans. And at some point, it should just be there should be some sort of thing. And to be a cab, you have to go through a long process to be a cab driver in London. You see them on mopeds, and they're driving around the city. They literally have to learn the whole city so that you can say, I want to go to this address, and they know it. And they have to demonstrate that and take tests. It's a very lengthy process. And you see them because they have special signs on their mopeds as they're learning. But six figures to be able to operate a business, that's kind of crazy. So I don't know where the balance is. I don't want people to be taken advantage of, which you would see in any big city. But at the same time, I don't want burdensome regulation.
But the marketplace will largely take care of this.
Not to a tourist who doesn't know better, right?
No,
and we've
no,
both been in
because-
third world. You were just in Beijing, and I'm sure if you didn't have a handler or advisor, you would have been screwed over somehow financially by somebody, right?
Absolutely. In countries that are generally corrupt, where the whole society is corrupt. We're talking here not about Beijing, China. We're talking about London.
I don't think Beijing owns corruption. I think corruption exists in every country. We're just a little classier about it.
Corruption does exist everywhere, but they're not equivalent corruptions by any stretch of the imagination. And the problem here is that your tourists can get taken advantage of, but my point is that the marketplace will largely handle this because Uber will self-regulate the drivers that they license, so to speak, that they authorize to carry their logo. They will make sure that they don't get dramatic complaints from consumers. Uber's a big name already, and they won't let their drivers cheat consumers. And if they do find someone being cheated, they're going to go ride roughshod over their drivers to be sure that doesn't happen. It's a self-correcting system completely. The reason this isn't taking hold in those cities, the reason it is taking hold in those cities is because consumers want it. The reason there's resistance is because bureaucrats that get bribes in the form of political contributions to campaigns don't want it to happen because it affects their control of a monopolized marketplace.
This is the age-old argument, fight between legacy incumbents and upstarts. Probably the exact same thing that Henry Ford, who we learned tonight, invented the wheel. I'm just kidding. Alan, it's like the third mistake Alan's ever made on the show in 3 years.
But Elon Musk going up against GM and Ford and Chrysler.
Or a better analogy would be SpaceX, where he's having a real problem with those guys.
Then he's fighting NASA.
Matthew Rappaport, welcome, and we'll talk to you in just a moment. Alan, what's coming up Monday on Google or on Our Android Week, which is at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, every Monday. Our Android Week. What's coming up, Alan?
Yeah, so we have a couple of interesting stuff coming up. The specs for the new LG G Watch have apparently leaked out. Some of them are pretty interesting. Some of them are, we'll see. But it's a tantalizing prospect. We'll be going into the specs and just how realistic they are on Monday's show.
Quick question on that, Alan. Do we agree that we like this watch a little more than we did initially? We still think the Moto 360 is the one, but we like this one more than we did initially the more we learn.
Is this a royal we, or do you have somebody in your pocket, or what are you talking about here?
There's no one in my pocket. I don't actually have any.
Because I'm not saying any of those things.
I like the subsequent pictures.
Dan would like you to be saying some of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, Huffington Post. All right, so
my answer to that is I don't give an opinion on something about whether I like one thing or another until I have it in my hands and I've tried it out.
Says the
No
guy
comment.
who liked the Nexus Q. What's the second story coming up Monday? Second of
Another
many.
story that we've got coming up is also a Google I/O story. Google I/O's app has launched, so that's going to be my app of the week next week because I'll finally have one again. And we'll take a look at what the app tells us, what it doesn't tell us. There are some interesting things there. So all of that's coming up Monday on our Android Week.
Force prediction, Mr. Furstenberg, or Dr. Furstenberg, I should say, to give credit where credit's due. Tell me, what is your prediction for what will be in your I/O goodie bag?
A watch. I think that's
Q?
kind of a no-brainer.
Not the Q 2.0?
I don't know about that one. Everyone was surprised by the Q.
Michael
I
Ellis.
think a watch is pretty much a no-brainer. That's the one everyone knows is going to be at I/O.
Or a wearable of some sort, right? Is it going to be a watch?
It'll be a watch. It'll be a watch.
Michael Ellis, how was your Google Plus week, sir? And tell us how
good.
you're doing physically, because we were all very concerned. You had appendicitis in Frankfurt, which is, as I opined, and you can elaborate on, if you had to pick a European place to get sick, that's the place. But
Yeah.
tell us how you're doing, because you looked really thin your first appearance on the show afterward, and you filled out back to normal, so good for you. And it's good to see you. We adore having you on, and we love you as a friend and as the brother we wish we had. So I count you as a dear friend. So tell us how you're doing, and tell us how your week was.
Thank you, Dan. That's very kind of you. My week was great. I am getting back to normal. I still have. This weekend was my last weekend to be on the 10-pound weight restriction. I'm not allowed to lift more than 10 pounds. Now I can. So yesterday, when it wasn't raining, I pulled my bike off the bike rack, which hangs up on the wall, and went out for a bike ride around a few blocks just to see if I could without getting killed. And I did. It was great. So I'm doing better, and I get a little better every day, and I have less pain by the end of the day every day, which is nice. I had a great Google Plus week, although I'm expecting next week to be even better, because I'm hoping to. I'm working on retooling my consulting business to work primarily remotely with clients all over the world, instead of traveling to all of them. And I've got a connection with someone that is interested in that and wants is connected in the industry the way I need to be, and so we're talking about how we can work together. I have the skills he doesn't have in doing those pieces of it, and he can get me into some customers that we need to get into. So next week will be a better week than this week, even better.
Good for you. Awesome. And it's good to
Yeah.
see you, health-wise, it's good to see you, pumping iron again. Even if it's 11 pounds. It works, right?
Even if it's lead crystal.
Absolutely. They got your appendix, but not your stomach. What's the saying from Sanford and Son? Up to the lips, over the gums. Watch out, stomach, here it comes. All right, so next up is Matthew Rappaport. Matthew, it's been a while since you've been on the show. Welcome, sir.
How are you?
Tell us.
Did I miss? Did you guys? Is this an Android app that you guys will be talking about?
What is it?
Insights. Yep, we covered that.
Yeah, we discussed that.
You covered it earlier in the show, right? Okay.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that it's got bells and whistles, but it's missing the meat. And then by the meat, I mean it's missing the traffic that brands can see for Google and Google Plus. I think it's great, but I don't necessarily know that it provides more than what Circle Count does. I still think Circle Count is great. So
should they buy Circle Count, and should they incorporate Circle Count's features into Plus? Because you're right, they do an amazing job using the APIs. Should they buy it?
I don't know if it's worth buying. Maybe they can make a deal with them. But I think that that brands and companies want to see traffic. They want to know how Google Plus is bringing traffic to their website across all the Google properties. And I think that is the most important thing meeting with a couple of brands, a couple of companies, talking to a couple of people. That's what they want to see. They want to see the traffic. And so I don't really know how to analyze the views from insights. I mean, I think it's fascinating and it's nice, but there's really no explanation why something gets 10,000 views versus 2,000 views, really. I mean, except for like maybe if you know, maybe if the ripples say there was a reshare, you know. But it's interesting. I'm looking forward to more I/O stuff. I think we're going to get some juicy Google Plus stuff. I know there's a lot of testing going on.
Really? You think we're going to get Google Plus stuff at I/O?
I do.
There's exactly one session currently scheduled for Google
I'm talking
I/O.
about the keynote. It's going to be in the keynote.
You think it's going to? Okay.
You disagree with me?
Yeah.
But I want to hear it if it does.
How does that compare, Alan? To be fair, how does that compare with last year or the year before?
Last year at the keynote, we got Auto Awesome photos.
No, I mean, you said there's one session this year on Google Plus. And by the way, if you look at my face here, these are live comments. So if you comment, unless it's totally naughty, you'll see it live on the show. But you said there's one session scheduled. How does that compare, for that factoid, how does that compare with previous years?
Previous years, there have been anywhere between 5 and 10 going by memory.
Okay,
can I just say it's the 3-year anniversary of Google Plus? There's no way we're not getting new stuff in the keynote. No way. And I believe there's going to be a nice section on Google Plus. They're gonna, Vic or no Vic, there's still Google Plus. I mean, they've released Google Plus Stories. They released Insights in My Business. There's some cool stuff coming from Hangouts. I just don't see how they're not going to talk about Google Plus. They might not call it Google Plus. They might say Google social things that are coming out for Google. They might rearrange the wording for it, but we're still getting the new features.
You're right. All of the Google Games stuff, all of the Google Play game stuff is really Google Plus under the surface. And there are a bunch of sessions of those.
In a sense. But I'm just talking about the keynote, not necessarily for sessions. I'm just saying when they talk about the new stuff that's coming out for Google. That's all.
I doubt it. And the reason why I doubt it is because they've got lots of other much more interesting stuff.
Maybe so, but you don't think we're gonna see, if it's not for I/O, it's at least for the 3-year anniversary. We're gonna see something. It's gonna be one or the other.
I don't think so.
All right. Anyway, that was my week.
I'd love to be wrong. I'll be honest. I'd love to be wrong because Google Plus desperately needs some fixes.
A facelift. Yeah, I would think the new regime is gonna get their chance to shine.
I think the new regime hasn't been around long enough to do it.
All right. Well, it's not really new. The old, new, but they were working on projects before Vic left, so those projects are going forward, I believe.
Let's put it this way. It would have to be significantly better than Stories, because Stories is really the biggest thing to come out of Google Plus since Hangouts.
You think so? That's a bold statement. I disagree. You think it's that big? Stories?
Yeah. Stories is that big. Of course, they screwed it up, but it's that big.
You think Stories is going to be is currently on the scale of Hangouts, or will be on the scale of Hangouts?
I think Stories, I think it is the killer feature on the order of Hangouts. Do you think there was another killer feature in between the two?
Hard to say, but I feel like Stories is still so new that I don't know if it's a killer feature yet. Most people don't know about it.
I don't know. Most people saw Hangouts and thought it was the killer feature when they saw it.
Right.
Okay, this is the thing that I don't understand on that issue. I see people who, we love Google Plus and we talk about it incessantly because we're geeky that way. But
and because that's like the name of the show.
I was gonna say that.
Exactly. But I use that nearby feature on my phone, and there's like real estate listings and stuff. And I was in a Walmart parking lot where there was like a Cracker Barrel and a Target across the street, kind of the main
you just gave
center
food
of commerce. And we're sponsored by Walmart and Target tonight and Cracker Barrel. But so I saw the stuff, and there were like very few public posts. So either people aren't publicly posting, or they're not posting.
Or no one lives near you, Dan.
Huh?
How many bears have Google Plus?
Exactly, that's my point.
That's a whole different thing.
You live in the middle of the woods. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I do think that we're going to get something. I do think that there's a lot, because there are a lot of chains moving, a lot of people talking about things to come. So whether it's I/O in the next 2 weeks or whatever it is, I'm looking forward to big things, and I really hope that there's a social graph. I really hope we get something that opens it up to. Was there a Les Mis poster? Sorry. Yeah, but I really hope that we open it up. They open it up so people understand Google Plus as a networking platform more so than your friends and family.
Matthew, that would be great. There's only one problem behind that. I don't think Google understands that.
Well, one day they'll hire us all to explain it to them. One day.
And on that note, I want to say that Matthew is a wonderful friend of this show and a wonderful friend to us, and I adore you. And I want to tell you that I think you've done a fantastic job with HuffPost online, and I think you upped their game, and I think you just really. It's one of the best pages on Google Plus, period. With unique, quirky stuff, and just you knocked it out of the ballpark. You've done great.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Dan.
kudos to you.
Thank you for that. I just want to say there's some changes happening, but thank you I appreciate those words.
Changes happen. Vic is moving on, but he's still a multimillionaire, right? But you've done an absolutely fantastic job, and I think it. I don't know if because it's their brand, so like it's not always noticed who's doing it. But you were really good at that, and
well, who knows where I'll be
kudos
next?
to
So
you.
we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Kadeus Kalut may or may not be back. I'm not sure.
You don't see him; he's right there in the middle of that crowd.
I see that. Alan Furstenberg. Normally I put you last, so you get like kind of the last word, and then I close. But Kadeus is peeing or something. So Alan, how was your Google Plus week, sir?
Pretty good. And I think actually next week is promising to be an incredible week. I've got. I feel like I'm going to be at the Glass base camp in New York City like 3 or 4 times next week. And then getting ready for I/O, which is my first I/O event. My first I/O related event is actually probably kicking off about 1 week from now, where I'll be at a pre-I/O hackathon for Glass. So I'm looking forward to that, and that's going to be pretty exciting. And that'll be in San Francisco.
Yay.
Followed by some other activities around Mountain View. Hopefully, our Android Week will take place from the Android Garden at Mountain View itself.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
That's what Pam, Kadeus, and I are planning on anyway. And you're free to join us, Dan. You really are.
That invitation's been extended several times, I understand.
Yes. I'm hiring. I'm in a hiring frenzy, and I'm training people, and it's beyond hectic.
Yeah. And then it'll be I/O itself, and I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly what happens there, and hopefully I'll be able to scrape together enough bandwidth to report on it back to you.
Right.
All right. So hopefully Kadeus will join us briefly, but so we can get him in here. But my week was nuts.
Hey Dan, how was your week?
My week was nuts. Yesterday was
Publication day.
I edited a newspaper, and I got to sleep at 5:30 a.m. this morning, and then got up at like 10:30, and then I took a brief nap, and then Alan unsuccessfully called to try to wake me up for the show, which is why we were delayed. But what's the saying, that the road to hell is paved with good intentions? So yeah, it was really interesting because I do I cover news stuff, and I've been following this story about the Eric Cantor story, losing his primary, which is regional to us and newsy. So that's really fascinating, having to learn about a whole new candidate you've never even heard of. Mm-hmm. And then it's just been it's been interesting. And one thing I like about news is that by definition it's new. So you're always interested in learning new things. So It's been good, and I experienced the social media birthday effect, where you get like hundreds and hundreds of happy birthdays, and then you feel obligated, right? Because I appreciate it, thank you, but like literally, I got like 300 or 400 notifications, right? And so then you're like, thanks so much. You're trying to figure out different ways, it's just crazy. It's a weird phenomenon that since he's
Dan, do I hear a feature request in there?
No, I'm not complaining. I appreciate if someone says that. I appreciate that. Although the older, the farther away,
response.
Ellis, help me out here. The farther away you get from 40, the less of a celebration a birthday is, right?
What makes you think I can help you with this at all? I'm thrilled to be alive at 52, honestly.
Yeah, with most of your organs intact.
Past 52.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So it's just it's funny.
Dan,
It's
what
like,
birthday was the highlight for you? Please let's hear it. What number?
I just turned 46, so I would
Right.
say 21 was the highlight, because
Ouch.
all of a sudden things that were more, but it was kind of a letdown,
you knew
because all of a
nothing at
sudden it
21
wasn't
though,
sneaking
right?
anymore. You could like legally do stuff you couldn't do before.
Yeah, but you didn't know much at 21, right? Compared to what
No.
you know now.
You know the saying, "Youth is wasted on the young." The
I
young
think that's the
people,
exact saying.
the young people are morons, and but
That's
they
part
have
of the clip.
they have the physical health and the looks, and or whatever you want to call it, and then the older you get, the wiser you get, and the more you learn, and you make fewer mistakes, and you have the benefit of all the things you've learned, and you don't have the benefits of being young. So that's the genesis of that saying, youth is wasted on the young, I think.
I think we can boil it down to what you said, Dan. Young people are morons.
In general, yeah. So okay, so thank you all so very much for watching our program. We appreciate it. And if Cadeas pops in, I'll get him in for a quick how was your week? Hint, hint, if he's got the speaker on. But we thank you very much. Well, we have two programs. One is called Our Android Week, which is Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Before I do this, Matthew, is there anything you want to plug?
I was thinking about doing we did an I/O show. I think it was last year. You were there. Derek Ross was there. Maybe we should do a special I/O show.
Sure. Just follow. Make sure you follow Matthew Rappaport's page, and
Plus,
check it out, and we'll do that. Sure, I'm game. Although
if you
Alan,
guys want, I did do a hangout with Sarah Hill a couple of weeks ago. You can check that out. Veterans United. That's a transition. That's kind of cool if you wanna.
Awesome.
Check,
Cool.
It's pretty quick. We kept it to 30 minutes on the dot. So.
We try to do that with Google Plus Week as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That always works.
But luckily, we changed several time
Well,
zones in
except
the
we
middle.
try to
so
keep
it's-
it to 4 hours. But
Yeah.
4 hours on the dot.
give or take 4
Thank
hours.
God they
Um,
extended the limit from 4 hours to 8 hours. Now we can have an 8-hour hangout for the
So
show.
one suggestion I had, speaking of stories, real quick, that I said was we should have
Sure.
HOA stories, and HOA stories would be a story that you could open up, and it takes your HOA and it makes highlights, little clips, and GIFs and stills from that HOA. So then people don't have to watch the 4 hours; they could just open up the HOA story and get the highlights.
And if it was
What do you think?
auto-generated, that's a great idea. It'd be tricky.
So-
algorithmically, Alan could weigh in on
You
that
could
better
you
than I
could edit
but-
it, right? You could still edit the same like you edit a story, and
But most people wouldn't. That's one thing where the current stories work well, is that they do a pretty good job.
no, they don't.
no, they don't. You have to edit. I edit.
No, they don't.
But they give
Okay,
you
so I'm
they're
wrong.
pretty good job at giving you a starting point,
Yeah.
Okay.
which is really the beauty of stories, is that they give you a good starting point from which you can edit.
But they don't give you enough good editing tools to fix what's wrong with them.
It
No.
takes a while.
It's not just takes a while; it's absolutely impossible in some cases.
No, but I'm just talking about when you click edit and it pops open and shows you all the possible.
So it's a win-win.
media. So
Yeah, so
no,
we all-
stories are definitely not a win-win.
Not yet. But that would help your 4 hours. That's all I'm saying. Cut your 4 hours down to a story.
Oh my God. I'm doing good for 5 hours sleep. Anyway, Okay,
Yes,
so
it's not bad.
Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, we have our program Our Android Week, where we talk about Android and Android news and Android accessories. On Friday night, this program airs. It's Google Plus Week, the longest running show on Google Plus in more ways than one. That's at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Google Plus Week on Google Plus and YouTube Live. I want to thank all the panel tonight. Pam, Cadeas, Alan, Michael, Matthew, and on and on. I can't name everybody because I'm ADHD. Craig, Ship, yeah, got to mention Craig, my arch nemesis. But thank you all very much for watching. We do appreciate it. And until next time, have a wonderful Google Plus week.
What time?